Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome on into another week of Warzone Total Frenzy. We are kicking off Season 5 this week, and the only way we know how, and that is by being the sweatiest of the sweatiest lobby, bringing everybody in, and you know it, you love it. It is Trios, Customs, World Series of Warzone playlist, the creme de la creme of competitive Warzone. My name is Dandro. I'm one half of the duo, bringing you all the energy here today, and I couldn't do it. He is the jelly to my peanut butter, I don't know, pick up another duo thing here. How you doing, man, Enigma?
I'm feeling real good. It's very good to be working alongside you, of course, my friend. It's been a bit of time since we got to do this little dance, and I have been looking forward to it ever since I got that DM letting me know that I was going to be working with you today. So yeah, looking forward to it. And you've kind of alluded to it a little bit. We have ourselves a stacked lobby here. This is going to be a sweaty day, and if Call of Duty Warzone competitive games have been anything to go by recently, we're in for a hell of a treat tonight.
It is going to be absolutely electric. Let's talk a little bit more about that format and what we are going to be doing here today. We got 39 teams dropping on in to our custom lobbies. Like I mentioned, Call of Duty Warzone Match Point is in effect with a $10,000 prize pool. We'll talk a little bit about more of those in a minute, but Enigma, help me break down this prizing, because $10,000, it is nothing to sneeze at.
No, it is not to get your Tuesday afternoon going. I mean, first place takes home the lion's share, and that's exactly what we want to see here. We want to be rewarding our winners, making sure that they take home the big portion of the cheese. First place, $7,000. Second place, $2,000, and half that for your third place team, $1,000. If you're splitting that evenly, $333 each. That's not too bad still, but also on top of that, you get yourself some reps in what is going to be one hell of a lobby.
No, you're definitely loving that you're getting those reps. Let's figure out how do the teams bring home the money, though, Enigma, because if this is your first time tuning on in to a Call of Duty Warzone Match Point, we'll help break it on down for you. Each game, players are going to be earning 1 point per elimination, and then depending on where you end up in that lobby, you are going to multiply those points. As you can see here, our breakdown, if you win that map, you are going to be doubling your points. Second through fifth, you're still feeling pretty good with a 1.8, 6th through 10th, 1.6. So it's kind of the theme here is that it is all about getting those eliminations, but then also playing for placement to really take a hold of these multipliers. Now, when it comes to our Call of Duty Warzone Match Point, we are going to be looking for a team to cross that 150 point threshold. You'll hear us call it win condition throughout the day. Once a team has crossed that 150 points, all they have to do to take our tournament is win a game. If they do that, the rest of the leaderboard then goes ahead and freezes, and that's how we find our second and third place team. So you know what they're playing for, you know how they're getting there. And then let's talk about some of our competitors that we got coming out here today, because like we said, it is the sweatiest of the sweaty trios. And as we pull up our first page, who's jumping off of this list to you that you think might make some moves here today?
I mean, I know where you think I'm going. You think I'm going to point at FIFA Jukies and Lynn, but no, sir. I'm actually going to serve you a curveball here.
Okay.
I'm looking at Unrational, Scummin, and Dongy. After their performance yesterday in the Summer Survival Series, they brought home second, but were by far the best team realistically through the tournament until we hit match point. I think after the first 5 games, they had an average placing of 2.8. We're absolutely frying as well in those games. So I think all of a sudden this trio has come together and is hitting that sort of superstar potential that we thought that they could have. And I'm looking forward to seeing it continue to build here in 2024.
No, I definitely realize that is, I think, on paper, right? They were the team that everybody was looking at to maybe hold a candle to that bottom right team, Team Biffle, aka SSD, aka Team Falcons, Biffle, Shifty, and Soka. They've been on a tear, but lately, like you mentioned, faltering just a little bit. Some people kind of holding a candle to them, being able to take some big tournaments away from them. But I know them, Enigma, they are definitely ready to show they still have what it takes. And especially here in a Warzone Total Frenzy, they've won so many weeks of this. I know they want to continue that and prove that they are still the team on top. Let's talk about some other squads, though, because these are not the only teams that we have participating here today. So we move on over. Well, of course, we got Team Fnatic, the tried and true here, Skullface, Almond Noobs. But a team that I want to talk about with you, because you and I actually haven't been on a broadcast together to talk about this, had a little bit of mini roster mania. Let's talk about this rated Bulieve and Intex squad, because I think that this is a team that could actually kind of maybe cause some chaos.
Well, yeah, I think with Bulieve and Intex, quite often playing with Mutex, I think that you've got there almost like a dynamic duo that we're seeing kind of rise through this year. It feels like they're really, not that they were ever bad players before that, right?
Yeah.
But you start to suddenly see them a lot more involved in the conversation and involved in the wins and involved in the big kills. And I think with Rated there, you have a player who's had an underwhelming year so far, and I think he's probably looking to do a little bit better. I mean, personally, being a European Call of Duty fan throughout the years, the Welshman is a legend in the space, so I always expect something big to come out of him. But it feels like he needs that team around him to have the big bounce back. Bulieve and Insects, I truly think that is a disgusting trio. I love that you've highlighted them. I think for me on this page, I'm looking at Aydan, DJ Mas, Smith. I mean, it's hard to turn away from them, right? Not only performances in World Series, but also in the Esports World Cup. And then last week and this week, alongside Iceman Isaac, who was subbing in when it came to the Survival Series, these guys have been putting on throughout the last couple of weeks, and I expect them to continue today.
No, definitely some solid team chem there. Also, always got to shout out some of our boys from down south, Panda, Volcom, and Resolve, as well as Mirai, xressolve, and Goat Clamp. We love being able to have them in here showing out for their communities. But let's keep it moving. Let's talk about some of these others, because it just keeps getting better. A team that I'm really kind of curious about, I think, here today when I look at this list, is going to be Ottereyes, Sitrep, and Exact. We've seen Sitrep and Exact normally playing alongside Sneely, but you bring in Ottereyes. And listen, I got to hang out with Ottereyes at Call of Duty Champs. He is just a ball of fun and energy. And, you know, he's also a shooter. Let's be very clear. He's a shooter, but I think he also brings a lot of vibes to a team. When, you know, I know that Sitrep and Exact, they're kind of like these people where I think when things are going well for them, they are able to snowball throughout a map. And I think that, you know, bringing in Rob might be kind of a way to solve some of their issues.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I think looking through the rest of these, there's a lot of names that I could definitely call out. And there's 4 European teams on your screen. I know that, again, you're expecting me to go there, but I have waxed lyrical about a lot of these sides. And I think that actually I'm going to turn away from that for a moment and pick up on another side quest that we've got going on here in the Warzone space. And that is simplyproze down there in the bottom right-hand corner, right? He comes out to the Esports World Cup with Destroy, and then it's Destroy's brother, if you're unaware. Not twins, even though Pocket tried to sell them as twins. And Destroy's not well on the first day. Has to sit out for the solo portion. simplyproze brings home a map. We were going wild there over in Saudi. We were going wild in the green room. And then he's actually teaming up today with Strixie and Johnny Bro. Now, these guys typically play with Tap, and they ended up getting 11th in the NA finals, so they will be making it through to LAN. So it's one of those things. We don't really know what simplyproze will bring. Does he just need that stable team around him to help him develop into the player he could be, just like his brother?
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. You know, Jay, he had that fantastic map, you know, obviously in the Esports World Cup. I've yet to really see another sort of stroke of brilliance from him. They're always finding their way towards those end games, just not a lot of elimination. So maybe get a little bit more aggressive in the early game and you're feeling a-okay. But let's move on over to our last page of teams to talk about them, Enigma, because as we start to look at some of these, a couple kind of jumping off the page, one that I actually really like here, T, Echo, and Lovey up there in that top left. You got T, who's just a fantastic shooter. You got the IGL Echo that's there, and a Warzone veteran. This guy's been around since Verdansk in Lovey, ready just to kind of team up together. This is probably one of those trios that it feels like 3 random people coming together, but I think it's 3 random people coming together that actually have a decent shot of like making some moves here today. Yeah. We know that Echo loves landing in that kind of downtown area in City, getting an overlook, and then kind of figuring out where they go from there. And I think if T and Lovey want to commit to that plan and they start kind of causing some chaos directly off drop on some of these teams, they could find themselves really set up with a large portion of the map for just themselves.
No, I like it. I do. I like the shout, especially with T making herself the only lady who is through to the World Series finals. I think that that's an incredible achievement. What a way to build yourself up through the year. I think I'm going to go over T. I've done enough side questing here. I think I'm going to go with Wars, Louis CM, and Bobble. What a trio that is. Finished second in European finals. And honestly, I think that they're a side that, although inconsistency can sometimes be their downfall, I think that they grow throughout tournaments. If we see an event tonight go on for several games, talking 7, 8 matches, I really expect that trio to develop into a side that can take it all. We saw it yesterday with Louis, in particular, running with 2 young French players who he's not used to running with. Seemed to lead them very well, and I'm expecting him to be a part of that IGL call with his squad today.
No, very vocal players indeed. I think that's the one thing I always think about with that squad. They are always poised to potentially have a pop-off map and really a lot of potential. You know, they could go 3 or 4 maps being bottom of the leaderboard, and all of a sudden, all it takes is one good map for them to kind of put their name into the conversation, start them feeling good, give them that confidence here on the map. So maybe today will be the day that we see them start playing exceptionally well. Enigma, we are in the pregame lobby for map number 1. So we got to do a couple predictions here. How many maps do you think we're going today, my guy? It's been a hot second since you and I have been here in what I'm going to call normal Warzone competitive lobby, right? Trios match point, Call of Duty World Series of Warzone playlist here. There's some squads who have ended this pretty fast. We went the distance last week. What are you calling it? How many games do you think we're going today?
It's tough because, as you said, there's a couple of teams here that could end this in like 4. We've seen, crazy numbers come out of some of these sides. Obviously, Biffle and Co are in this, but every match point that I've done recently has gone to 7. So I'm going to go with 6. I'm going to go just under because we have Biffle and Co here. I'm going to go 6 games today.
All right, I'm going 8. I think that we have some very formidable squads here. I think somebody's going to get there on maybe 5 or 6, but it's going to be really tough for them to close it on out. I mean, last week in the Warzone Total Frenzy, I was sitting here like, there's no way we go past 8. We eventually made it to 9 games with literally 3/4 of the lobby on Call of Duty Warzone match point. So maybe I have a little bit of bias from that. It was quads, so it was different. I don't know. Could potentially be a little bit of a different scenario there, but I'm going 8. I think we'll probably be pretty good. We'll sandwich it, right? If it goes 7 like you think it is, I originally was going to say 7, which is why I didn't. So we'll both be right and also wrong.
Although sometimes I wonder if you listen to me at all. I said 6, my man. Don't be selling me short.
You went 6,
here.
I went 8. You said you think it would go 7. I said I also thought it would probably go 7, so I went a little bit higher. You went a little bit lower. It's like 6. You don't listen to me. Anyway, get into the game. Start off with your terrible European people.
Well, so the reason why I don't gas these guys up anymore is because I have realized that I just curse the hell out of them. Every time I speak like, oh yeah, FIFA, Juki's Lennon, they're going to come out. They're never going to perform that badly again. They drop the absolute ball. But if I just don't speak about them, put them away in a corner, they come out smelling of roses. They've been looking much better from that, except for yesterday. I will say yesterday was a little bit of a disappointing performance, but otherwise, it has been much better recently for Thief, Jukies, and Lennon, considering the adaptations that they made post-Esports World Cup once they started having to play in the LCQs. And, well, man on your screen here, looks like the boys could be floating over towards Superstore. I don't know if you've gotten to see many drops there yet, but let me tell you, if you end up with a lot of sides over there, it is just as mixed as it was back on Verdansk, baby.
Ooh, I do like that. And you can see FIFA Kill already pinging somebody immediately out of the sky. I like it. I think Superstore, it's kind of a nice little freshening up of the map. It gives you a POI that not only can you land at, right? We're seeing a lot of people try and use this as their starting location because there's enough loot for at least 2 or 3 squads to really feel like they can land here and make it out. But I think the other thing at the end of the day is that it's a place that you can rotate into Enigma, right? So if you are maybe trying to regame, maybe you land around there, you can definitely try and go on in and be able to win that. As we see Amir just absolutely slam Oak Boy in the gulag.
Yeah, we do indeed. I believe his fan base call him the Ogre. I don't know what that's all about because he's a handsome man, but yes, the Ogre slams the Oak Boy into the dirt. Thief picks up the most wanted. We'll have some company around, but honestly, he just scoops more and more, and apparently another most wanted on top of that. His 2 teammates as well. The thing is with Superstore, if you do scope these most wanted out, because of the amount of loot that's available, you can bleed that timer down very, very quickly in comparison to anywhere else. And that bunker buster as well will be a blessing. We've seen how useful they can be recently.
Yeah, I've seen a couple tricks start coming out with the bunker buster. I'll wait to talk about them because there's one team in here who, if they do it, they've started doing it consistently, and I'd love to kind of wait for their time to shine. But back over on the other side of the map, kind of towards this seaport side, we got Breadman, Jace, and Joe currently in a tussle. So they have a counter UAV up on the top. Somebody's down below, though. They've knocked Joe. There's the full. It's Savvy Ultras and co. Breadman starts coming on in. Core 45 in hand, trying to be able to use that increased rate of fire to his advantage as he just puts the moves onto Zegs. Great job, but the fight is not over yet. Enigma flies on out. He will get down. And Jace, you have to be able to play for this trade.
Oh, Jace really wanted a piece of that trade. We'll come back to everything that just happened right there because Breadman just broke ankles on the young Italian. Jace will fall as well in the back. Cloud9 looked really damn good yesterday. That is an awful start. Breadman here going to be up against Skullface, so it doesn't get any easier. STG in hand. This thing melts at medium range, but Skullface doesn't give a damn. He gets up close and personal with the Horus. Breadman's out of here.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to win a gulag like that when you're trying to use the STG and you have a player like Skullface with the Horus, that thing has an insane time to kill, especially up close and personal like that. So no surprise to see Skull win that. A little bit unfortunate. If you're Breadman, you have this insane play, but you just get cut down too quickly and you lose your Gulag. So a little bit of a regain scenario for Cloud9. Back on over to Smixy, playing alongside Zakar and Rocket. STG in hand and just kind of playing around here, knowing that there's a couple of different teams. I think Smixy's a little bit worried that if she tries to meet back up with the duo, might get beamed out.
I agree. It is a difficult reposition to make because there's so much open ground here. Get it wrong and you will feel it. But it looks like he's relatively safe. So let's go back to that Cloud9 moment there, Dan. Let's talk about Breadman. Absolutely. I think it was Zanks just breaks his ankles, the young Italian. Did not know which way Bread was moving. I gotta say, yesterday, Cloud9 were very impressive. I think they finished 3rd overall, but they stopped on Rational Call winning in Game 4. We nearly ended the whole match point event in 4 maps, and it was only because of some incredible plays out of Bread in particular that saw that not happen. So Cloud9 inconsistent. I think we can both agree there with some of their performances, just up and down all over the place. But when they look hot, God, they're great to watch.
No, definitely. I think once they start feeling themselves, they are good. Swag getting eliminated by Fuzzin, Homit and A. They're kind of sitting over here on the train tracks, trying to make a rotation on in. Everybody just kind of trying to feel this out. Let's remind folks here, it's recently been a slight meta shift. I think a lot of these teams are still trying to figure it out. We saw even a patch go out right before this. I kind of mentioned it a little bit in that fight, right? The Core 45 gets a rate of fire adjustment. The Superi finally gets a little bit of a nerf when it comes to the damage. It's going to let that static HP, like you see in the hands of Braxton, I think, be the go-to meta SMG that is there. But it's this STG, dude. This thing is hitting lately. Borderline busted. When I'm pulling this thing out at my games, dude, I'm like, this thing is gross. This is why did we let this exist? And you're gonna see why here today, especially in the hands of Braxton. They do find colors on an opening.
Yeah, well, there is an interesting weakness to the STG, and that is the fact that it dramatically drops off once you get past a certain range. So you end up with this situation where we're so used to seeing people being beamed out of the sky. It's actually not very effective for that. However, anything mid-range, you lose your face. That thing is basically hit scan. I watched a couple of teams 3-2-1 squads with it recently, and it is insane. It melts uber quickly. Very good weapon indeed. Also, the SMG is worth a conversation, right? Superi is nerfed. That thing has taken a hit. That will no longer be as effective. The static that is currently being run by Rated, the weapon currently in his hand, the brand new thing. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if this takes over now.
I think it has to. It was already really, really solid before, even when you had that Superi, but I think just the static, it's very similar, right? It's one of these, it reminds me a lot of like Warzone 2, sort of the MP5 from that. It's like these SMGs that are really good up close, but that also you can kind of use them in a mid-range scenario as well. The static by default has 50 bullets, so you're not having to dedicate, you know, a magazine slot as one of your 5 attachments to just get more bullets that's there. And I think that combined with its mobility, some great damage, it's really going to find its slot here. I think a lot of players are really liking it. The Superi, that damage range sort of nerf, it makes it a little bit weird. And then, you know, obviously you had the movement nerf that came along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not wrong. We in the competitive Warzone space are so used to seeing the meta shift, sure, but this time of the year, none more so. If we call ourselves back to last year, Aydan, by the way, has got a lot to do. Does manage to get the down at least onto flank, but takes bullets on in the back. The thing is, well, you've got to start to consider you're on the edge of zone. At some point, you do want to be able to push on out. Hipfire comes through and cleans that up. Flank dealt with. So you are currently in a difficult spot, but you are likely numbers up. And will that back the other team off? The answer appears to be no, as Aydan and Smith both catch a frag grenade in their teeth. Smith's down. Aydan's trying to smoke himself across. Can you daisy chain safely? Well, DJ Master's gone as well, so Aydan's by himself here. Aydan manages to get the crack. He's done a great bit of work, but he could well be outnumbered. And just about loses the fight to gabekun.
Wow, I thought he had that there, but Gabe with a very solid turn and bird on the Aydan. Looks like a tough scenario. They were trying to make that wrap on in. You saw you had Tommy, Teeny, and Obs at their back. But yeah, blast gabekun and flank. Flanked was the first player to go down from that trio, but when you have the other two kind of playing from a different power position, we're able to clean it on up. Gabe currently sitting on 3. We'll get back into zone, but wants to keep his eye out for any of these other players. Good shots in, but they answer on back. He'll have to back on up. Thankfully, Tempered lets him re-engage as he goes to try and hold the angle.
I love the Tempered call. Always a conversation around what people run for their setups. In terms of their loadout, Tempered will indeed ensure that Gabe could just cover over the exit angle there. Make sure that he's then safe to rotate back on back to blast. Right now, the duo needs to get... I was about to say get some cash together, but blast is apparently absolutely loaded. Running near to 12k. Fire sale also comes on through, of course. There's a bunch of buys ahead of them, so all of a sudden it doesn't look very safe. The thing is, actually, if that turns out to be 2 buys, then you got to assume that that was just a solo player. You try and squeeze up on this. I love the idea of finding the portable. That goes out. The other player is rotating away. Doesn't actually decide to pick up the chopper and just is going to continue to rotate out. Buy comes back in for flank. And honestly, I think I like this. Don't get over aggressive here. Don't push too much. With the fire sale, a lot of different teams rotating into various places. You might not be picking people up because of them being ghosted. So instead, what you do, you just decide to get your squad back together and go again.
Well, we even saw something on the ground there that I'm really surprised they didn't use. It's those new RDBs, right? You could actually throw these things. I've said, like, oh, you could throw C4s like a frisbee in the past. No, you actually legitimately throw these things like a frisbee. They go forever, but it is that redeploy balloon. When you're one of these teams that's outside the zone trying to figure out how you want to try and get in, that's a piece of utility you can't just overlook, right? We kind of saw them out there over towards the pop-off power side, and I think that's a great kind of thing you can use to just go ahead and reposition yourself. So gotta keep our eye out for that. Back on the other side, looks like a little bit of regain has happened for Swag, Adrian, and Sage. Want to be able to do this intel contract, get an idea where the zone is going, and I think this is a smart idea.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this, especially considering that you're relatively near to the edge of zones. You've got quite a bit of rotation to make at this point. Taking full advantage of the fire sale, of course, here. But yeah, I think when you're in one of these spots where you've got a lot of rotating to do, you want to be able to plot your route there, and Swag doesn't hit nothing. That's what I'm talking about with the STG. Over that kind of range, it just isn't as effective as some of our previous ARs that we've had here on Urzikstan. It's more of that, mid-range battler. It's definitely for more urban territory. Not necessarily plucking players out of skies or across rolling hills. Moving on over. Smixy, Zakar, Rocket. Smixy rotating through various different duos throughout this year. Rocket and Zakar, 2 Polish players who got themselves to World Series land multiple times. They've been impressive competitors through this year as well. And they're just going to lock down. Oh my god, Smixy. I was about to say lock down, and then Smixy nearly loses her life. So never quiet moment here on Urzikstan.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I kind of like, that they're just trying to peek their heads up, get an idea where there's some of these people behind them. But this is the problem with this rooftop, right? Is that everybody is just looking up at you. So even if you're trying to do this, you got all eyes on you. Smixy currently on 4 of those, so some success already. We have 23 squads left here in the lobby as we do come to the end of zone number 3. Okay, I think I saw a 10 there for the team already.
Not bad.
Not too shabby already. Especially if you can just take advantage of some of those multipliers.
That's the game plan that we often see in these very sweaty lobbies. Get yourself some kills nice and early, and then set up and just rack up the bonus points. Say that. Some of our top teams on your screen right now prefer to just try and systematically work their way through the lobby. I was going to say that. enkeo, gromalokk, and Heat laying up around blocks here. This feels like a very early rotation for them to make here. I feel... this is the kind of strategy that they usually pull out once they are on to win condition, not necessarily early in the game, but it looks like they've decided that they're going to lay siege to this area nice and early. A strategy that they tried to employ yesterday, just playing north side of zone, wasn't particularly successful, so see how it goes today. And we finally, Andro, get SSD on our screen, and of course they're involved in the thick of it.
Yeah, Biffle's already on 7 here as well. So not only have they made it deeper into the lobby, but they've been able to do it at least with 7 from Biffle. And if we know anything, we know that Soka and Shifty are probably matched up or very, very close. Playing up here towards these tents, we came on over to a squad wipe, so they've gained control for now, but they feel like they are not the only ones here. I kind of like this, right? Make sure that you clear out your back. Make sure you've been able to go through and find all of these players. Look who it is. It's Zach. Enkeo getting taken on out. This must have been the team that was on top of that building that he was spotting on out. I mean, Enkeo looks like maybe gets a little aggressive there, a little antsy. Flies on through the French, but they will absolutely put him down.
Yeah, they will indeed. That is tough. And what I was talking about when it comes to this French side, I mean, both of these sides are French when it comes to Enkeo and Cohen. That was beautiful work out of Zach. By the way, a lot of storylines around this gunfight. Zach, in particular, feels very strongly that he's overlooked in terms of the quality that he has brought over the years, the results that he has brought as being one of the top French players. Aydan and Hollow, no doubt, feel very similar in that, especially when all the talk this year is about enkeo, gromalokk, and heed. So they have a point to prove. So that gunfight has a little bit of extra flavor to it, with Zach coming out on top. The old French guard standing firm, holding up this northern side of the Kotovo blocks.
I love that they kind of make that fight just end very quickly. They get the third back on in, allows them to fly on in, kind of reset. So yeah, you burn some cash, but when you got Hollow with 11k, hey, not a bad situation to be in. Yes, you got taken out, you did get thirsted. Who cares? Get the teammate back on in, continue to hold it on through. Because let's take a moment to like talk about this zone a little bit, right? It's kind of like blocking out, like a third of it is in the out of bounds area. So they're up there towards that northwest. They got to be able to hold it on through, but getting kind of cracked down on the other side of the map here. Enigma raided. You got Intex full dead. Bulieve taken down by Swag. It is all up to him. Bulieve, you got to clutch up that gulag if you want to keep your team alive, but raided. Trying to be able to exit the fight here, maybe find himself some solace amongst the construction.
Well, he's just hoping and praying that Bulieve sees out that gulag and joins him. The portable will provide him with some comfort for now. However, you're always worried about whether or not a team just rolls up on you and teammate wins. Bulieve comes out on top. I can't actually make out who it is against. The Brolic. So not an easy gunfight at all. Not that I think there's many in this level of lobby, but Rated will be very happy to Bulieve come back in. Now, can he safely float on down? Try an angle, and he does get back on in. The problem is going to be a complete lack of utility here for Rated and Bulieve. They do have 7 kills on the board. You are into top 15, so you're already at 1.4 times multiplier. Next goal surely got to be that top 10 for the 1.6x.
Yep, you definitely would love to find a little bit more, and I love that you called that out. Bulieve, sure, you win the gulag, you make it back on in, but you don't have anything to your name. You have whatever came out of this orange crate if you are rated, but you're kind of being able to play with scraps for now. Back on over. gabekun flanked in blast. Looks like they were able to get flanked back on into it, but this is a sticky situation. Playing in this underground, they're going to be forced out at some point. I don't know if somebody knows that they're here, or this just so happens to be people on top. But you see a mortar flying on in, and this is wide open spaces when it comes to this rotation right now. I hope you have smokes stacked in the backpack.
Yeah, you're going to need to just daisy chain your way on out of this. If you had an ammunition box or utility box or something, that was the moment to use it. Flank takes a lot of damage from above. The only problem with smokes these days, so many players have figured out how to just essentially counter them. That is live pings, ladies and gentlemen. That is just tracking players through the smoke, using those live pings. And so often with these top players, they're able to trace you straight through using it. And right now, Flank desperately needs plates. He does get some from the teammate, but doesn't have much time to put them on in. And somehow, they're actually making this rotation work. I don't want to speak too soon because they've still got a little bit of work to do, but that's a successful rotation if by any margin, as Flank there nearly fell, but they come away completely clean. All 3 players still in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of smokes infested there, but the fact that you make it on over with Flanks just basically taking some damage and all you do is sacrifice some plates for it, you're feeling good. They've made their way to this sort of low ground here now, and you can see they're playing on this edge of zone. Somebody's on the roof as they start to fly on in. They've gained control of the bottom of this building. Flank, though, will get taken out by Shifty on the wrap on through. Soko will fly forward, take down gabekun, and even though you made this rotation, it is all for naught. Cut down by the Falcons.
Yeah, that's rough work, right? You put in all that time, you put in all that effort to get yourself across. Who do you run into? The unstoppable giant of Soka, Biffle, and Shifty. That's tough. Back on over with the French squad that not enough people are speaking about, according to them. Zach managing to help his teammate here, and Zakar and Rocket are dealt with. We saw Smixy fall elsewhere as well, so that is them out of here. We are down to our top 12 now. Zach, Aydan, and Hollow have been around here for some time. It'd be interesting to know exactly how many kills they have. Zach currently holding 3. And you gotta assume it's pushing around 10. Those are some straight shots, but take some back. And yeah, I think you go back down, you assess your plate situation because he was only rocking 2 for a moment.
I would have loved to see a 3-2-1 from the squad there. You had a couple players who were just up on top. A little bit of patience there from Zach. You potentially get it down. You have a bunker buster available as well that you could follow it on up with. So maybe a little bit of lack of patience there from Zach. Do not blame them as he starts looking at their back. Now, the cool part about this building, Enigma, they are still going to be in zone once this does go ahead and fully close on in. So they don't have to worry too much. Look who's also still in zone, SSD. They know somebody's on their roof, though. I think this was the building that maybe Zach and them were firing at. So you got to try and hold this on through. Biffle's still on his 7. You know that they're feeling with some solid kills already here in game number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at this point, I just don't even know what to expect to be their lowest bar. There's such a ridiculously talented trio. Shifty's just going to try and throw a shoulder and bait something out. You can hear the comms coming on through. They know that there's a team above them. It's just, how do you approach a building like this, a stairwell like this? In fact, do you just give it up and consider the rotation because it's pulled to the opposite side of zone and you've got quite a bit of work to do?
I think so. They really have to play for this, Enigma. I just checked. Shifty's currently on 12. Soka also on 7. Okay, so they are already at 26 eliminations. You know they want to catch the dub here and kickstart our day by potentially going over a third of the way to Call of Duty Warzone match point. And they are close to doing that. In easy rotation, by the way, somehow they get this building for free.
Just absolutely for free. I think it's because they're so proactive about it. They just decide, okay, as soon as that zone moves, I think a lot of teams spend a moment assessing, how do we make this? Do we have to make this crossing? Do we just try and stick around for a few points instead? Soka, Shifty, and Biffle immediately on their bikes, immediately into the best zone. Sorry, best building in the zone. And we know, by the way, that Zach and Cole were in the next building across. So could well be right on top of each other. Enkeo, Heats, they're taking damage out here in the gas. I mean, they need to find some sort of escape route here. You will have the PDS, but the problem with these, and I say this all the time, it tells everyone else on the map that you're here, and they can essentially just gatekeep you.
No, it's a great call out. That's the number one thing I look for. Sure, you use this PDS, you gain a little bit of time, but you have no gas mask if you're enkeo either. That's the thing that kind of always comes out to me. You know, you always want to make sure you use this opportunity to kind of maybe get your materials back on up for a successful rotation. But for these two, I mean, we see enkeo with one more kind of tick of a PDS, that's it. But you don't have the gas mask that's in there. I'm seeing no smokes either. So you're just planting down these PDSs in zone. Somebody's going to be looking over towards you. Louis CM gets taken out and brought on through, but the self-revive comes on in for enkeo. Heeds is down. I don't think you're going to get it. No, Biffle and Shifty will actually clean those up. 8th place for oekiy.
Yeah, I've got to hope that they're trying to... I'm imagining all they want in there is top 5. Try and get themselves that 1.8 times multiplier. By the way, Biffle, Shifty, Soka did get the knocks onto oekiy, but Biffle's in big trouble. Shifty falls as well. Biffle goes too. That's Careless Kitty, Funzy, Adrian, all lighting up the kill feed. We haven't seen them throughout this tournament so far. 29! I mean, you can hear the frustration in their voice because they're only picking up 7, so only bringing home a 1.6x. But... I mean, it just shows the level that they are at when they're sitting there disappointed about that kind of performance.
I mean, that's like still almost a 45-point game, though. Let's be very clear. A solid game number 1. They would have loved to get at least into that 1.8, though. That is for sure. But back on over, it's a squad that had made some early reads. They got to kind of hold it on here. Hollow, Aydan, and Zach. Some shots coming on through. PDS is there. You're going to bounce off some of the nades through the door. Maybe you can catch anybody. No, Hollow sprints on out, will get taken on down as they're trying to just hold out into this building right onto the edge of zone as we are finally getting into the final circle here. You're seeing the smokes come on out from Zach. This could be the opportunity you need. Seeing some on the gas line. The shots are in. Are you able to find them? Yeah, you clean up Funzy, you clean up Mirai, and they're able to fly on forward. 3v3, though, for this final circle as they are able to do it. Game number 1 going to Zach, Aydan, and Hollow.
I spoke about them when we saw them in the fight against Enkeo, gromalokk, He's. They feel that they are not being talked about enough, purely because of the hype behind Enkeo, and then gromalokk and He's also being a big part of French history when it comes to Warzone. But Zach is arguably their most successful player ever. Until not long ago, Aydan was seen as the demonic shooter out of France, and Hallow has always been a player that's had a lot of respect on his name. These three are big name players over there, and they deserve a lot of love. They feel like they've had to come out and prove themselves this year to show that they are still holding down that French throne. And I tell you what, coming out map 1 here, looking nice and hot, especially when they know they came out on top earlier as well against enkeo and co in that gunfight.
Yeah, definitely feeling very solid if you are that team. I like it. Let's go ahead and take a look. 19 eliminations. That first place finish will let them double that, give them 38 points here after game number 1. A really, really solid first game to start your day here, Enigma. Reminder, folks, we are looking for that 150-point win condition. 38, that is a very solid game number 1 in a way to give you the confidence you need through the rest of the tournament.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. I think that that's one of the things as well. I think that when you are a team that, because we have this wonderful thing over in EMEA region where, although, yes, we're fighting for, like, you know, world supremacy, you fight for your country's love as well. You want to be the best in your country. And I think when that crown of yours is threatened, I think that you start to have some doubts yourself, a couple of questions that you've got to answer yourself. And coming in with these big moments here as we build up towards the World Series finals and whatnot, I think that it answers a lot of those questions you might have yourself and gives them that belief to not only press on through the rest of this evening, but through the rest of this year.
No, really solid kind of point to bring up. We've seen oekiy, gromalokk, and enkeo. You mentioned it. They've been the talk of the town, right? They've been there. They are the best French squad. They are there. They've had a lot of hype put on them, but a couple of young guns, and I feel like they've kind of been feeling the pressure a little bit, Enigma. Over the last kind of couple weeks, I haven't really seen the same oekiy that maybe started our season with, right? A little bit of a falter, maybe some growing pains is I think what I'm really kind of attributing it to. I think they came out really hot. I think they kind of had locked down, but I feel like as the rest of the competition has sort of leveled up, has come to a different level here over the last couple of weeks, they're a little bit struggling to keep on up. But I have faith that they will be able to figure it on out. But on the other side of the board, hey, we got another French squad that's still being able to come out on top as we see Zach take game number 1. So really good stuff. We also got to talk about, of course, Team Falcons with their 30 some odd eliminations as well. It just has me excited for that leaderboard and how it's going to shake on out, because it's not always the case that our team that wins is top of the leaderboard, and I think we'll go ahead and see that. But hey, after game number 1 though, Enigma, kind of give me your feeling on this lobby. Anything you saw that really stuck out to you that you think might dictate the pace and what we might be able to see here through the rest of our lobbies here today?
I think there's 2 points that you just brought up that we should probably build upon. That is that, of course, the Falcons. I mean, it's just ridiculous at this point. They finished 7th. We spoke to them in Biffle in an interview yesterday after the whole event took part, and he was saying, you know, we still need to improve. We still need to VOD review. We still need to see the level of drive that they have. And again, we hear it when they pick up 30-some odd kills and then still are frustrated about finishing in 7th place. And it just, again, shows the level that they are while we're putting that potential dynasty title on top of them. Be interesting to see how they continue on through this afternoon. Of course, we are expecting, we'd say you could put good money on them taking the tournament home. However, one of the other teams that you've mentioned there, enkeo and co, and where they've kind of slipped to, is a weird one because they no longer explode, it feels like. They no longer have this like massive pop-off in a tournament where we're suddenly screaming about them. But then like yesterday's event, they were on match point and then lost the gunfight to the other team on match point in the final fight. And it was the exact same the week before. But it was weird to see how they got there. No longer that explosive team, but just kind of chipping away and just getting solid placements and solid performances. So somewhere through the year, I think you're right, the rest of the leaderboard, the rest of the lobbies that we've had have kind of gone up in quality, whereas they, I think, have adapted into a different way to be a more consistent team, and one that, although they haven't brought home those victories yet, I still think that they truly can.
Well, I love that you bring that up, because I think that it is really, in my opinion, the better way to play this sort of Call of Duty Warzone match point format. It's not about having this one big banger game and then kind of coasting the rest of them, trying to limp your way across win condition, as I like to say. One thing that we see people like Team Falcons, that we see Unrational, Scummin, and Dongi do, and now we also see, I think, oekiy kind of leaning into as well, which is like, yo, if we get to 1.8 with at least probably 20 eliminations, we're sitting good. Right? Think about it. If you're able to do that, you just got as many points as the team that won the game with a lot less pressure, right? So focus on that early and mid game, get all of your eliminations, and then when it comes to that end game, just at least kind of play for that 1.8. And then once you're in that 1.8, you're basically just kind of trying to say, all right, if we win this game, if we're able to outplay everybody and get the 2x, fantastic. We love that. We love the extra points. But if you're not able to and you only take home the 1.8, you're still feeling really good about that. And if you can consistently, like you mentioned at the top of the show, you have an average placing of basically being in that top 5 and have that average multiplier of 1.8, you are really going to compound all of the points that you're able to find. So I like that more teams are starting to realize this, and I'll be kind of curious as we go through more of our matches here today, will we kind of see that same theme kind of be able to prick on out here, because I think that'll be really interesting. It's something I'm seeing a lot of our top squads are really doing well.
I think it's a big part of like our whole space evolving, right? Like I'm seeing more teams stack PDSs once they get onto match point, for example, copying the kind of things that the Falcons have been bringing along. More car plays are coming on through, right? And that's not exactly a new thing. That's been around for years. We saw that back in Verdansk, but it seems to be that teams are now more efficient at choosing not only when to make those vehicle plays, but also in terms of how they execute them. So I think that we are just seeing the whole space right now. You know, SSD have set the bar, sure. Biffle, Soka Shift, they have indeed set that bar so high, and all that's done is lift the entire rest of the tide. The ship has come up with them, everyone else is chasing after them, and all it's giving us, and the viewers in chat, is some beautiful Warzone play.
No, I couldn't agree more. I do like that, you know, even though they are incredibly winning, you know, they win a lot of tournaments, they have an insane repertoire, right? We're kind of throwing around that dynasty word a little bit with them. It's never been incredibly just easy for them. Sure, there's been a couple, but they've really had to grind for a lot of these tournament wins, right? It hasn't really been handed to them, and that's what I really respect about this sort of Team Falcon squad. It's not like they are just running away with it, and then all of a sudden when they have some competition, we see them kind of crumble. No, we've seen them fight through adversity. It wasn't too long ago, you and I were in at the Esports World Cup watching them not be in first for like the first time ever, and then they were able to clutch it on up and kind of push through that adversity, come out on top. It's no surprise to watch them be on a leaderboard and be second or third, just kind of hovering there, and then all it does is take one big, huge game for them to kind of cross that threshold, and they have a very strong conversion rate once they cross that threshold to then taking the tournament. I think that's what makes them so scary.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. Yes, you're right. Esports World Cup is a great thing to bring up. They really struggled in the solos, but they believed in the strategy that they wanted to have, and it still wasn't the cleanest start on finals day, right? Fnatic were right up with them, Twisted Minds as well at one point, and I think that a lot of sides in any esport, in any sport, in any sort of competition, once you feel that pressure, but you're expected to not only win, but win comfortably, I think you crumble. They sure as hell did not, right? Like we were all there watching them just still pick it up, still make big plays, still clutch things up. Soka making the insane gas plays that have become his trademark at this point. So I agree with you. I think that the mentality that they have, not only when it comes to their adaptability and all the technical skill and everything else that we can talk about when it comes to the actual gameplay, it's what's up here when you're threatened, when you're in the moment. How do you deal with that pressure? These three boys, it's like water off a duck's back.
No, and I think that's really what everybody has said, right? Is that they're able to minimize their mistakes really, really well. So I'll be curious to see, though, who else is coming out on top when it comes to this leaderboard, because I think we saw a number of players and teams do really, really well in that game number one, and that's really what kind of sets your tone, sets your pace for the rest of the day. That I'll be kind of curious to see where we are landing on. So hopefully we get that leaderboard here soon. One of my other favorite things that we like to do here is we have our overall kill leaderboard as well. So as we get ready to kind of talk about that here in a minute, I feel like it's really fun to look at these overall kills when it comes to kind of it tells to me the story of really some of these teams that are at the top, because it's no surprise sometimes we pull up this overall kill leaderboard and it's one or two members from a certain particular team who are finding themselves near that top, and then we go to the overall leaderboard and it's like, oh look, that team that has 2 or 3 people in the overall kills finds their way to the top. Wow, that's so wild, that's so crazy to be able to see that's there. So I love that we kind of see some of the, it's a little bit of like a teaser, right? That like, hey, maybe if you want to win some games, if you want to be top of the leaderboard, maybe you got to find some more eliminations.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which, while you were talking about eliminations, it made me think of a certain squad that I brought up at the very top of the show. That's actually Scumming, Dongi, Unrational. That is a team that does not go quietly. Whether it is a good afternoon, bad afternoon, does not matter. I spoke about, you know, their consistency of placing yesterday. I want to talk a little bit about the kind of slaying factor that they bring as a team. NA Finals. Dongi, 10th overall out of every single player, 21 kills. Scumming, 7th, 24 kills. Gary, 3rd. Unrational, 26 kills to show just the level of quality that they bring, whether they are placing second, first, or whether they're down in like 15th. You guarantee that they are putting up a massive amount of digits. Their entire playstyle is just based around slaying everything out. So they are actually one of the very few teams that I think that when we see 3 of them in the leaderboard, we're never quite sure actually, well, how are they doing in the tournament? Because their placings are usually actually kind of mid. But when it comes to the slaying side of things, they are one hell of a point of view to watch. And honestly, I think that after yesterday, where they started to figure out their consistency around placing, again, an average of like 2.8 after 5 maps or so, I think that this is a very scary side throughout the rest of this year.
Well, let's go ahead and see. We don't have our kill leaderboard, but we do have our overall leaderboard, Enigma. So let's see after game number 1, where are the points shaking on out? And well, no surprise at the top. Team Biffle, 46.4. That is their Team Zach, your winners of map number 1, 38. And well, a team that we saw a little bit earlier on, but didn't get the chance to kind of see there, 34.2 in third. I'm a little bit impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I was expecting that at all, to be honest. I'm not sure who I was expecting to see in third. Maybe enkeo and co, because we see them until late, but they're actually down in 11th place. So yeah, I mean, Team Braxton putting in the work again, and another squad that it feels like are becoming much more a part of our conversations throughout the year as we build up towards the World Series. Obviously took a map last year when we were in London, so yeah, it's a squad to keep an eye on throughout the rest of this for sure. Of course, it is going to be Team Biffle leading the way. Incredibly, they will be frustrated at that because it's only by 8.4 points and not like 80 as they're apparently used to these days. But I mean, right now, that is a lot of teams there up in your top 5, a lot of North American. We've also got Team Mire in there. But Team Zach locking it down in map 1, managing to put on a little bit when it comes to EMEA representation.
Yeah, and looking at our bottom, you can see a couple of these squads struggling a little bit into that game number 1. A couple single digits here. You hate to see it, but hey, you got a little bit of room. That's kind of the beauty of Call of Duty Warzone Match Point, right, Enigma? It's, even if you don't have a great sort of game number 1, hey, guess what? You can keep moving on through. No problems at all. I'm noticing really a gap here is kind of the thing to me, right? We kind of have this top 3, 46, 38, 34.2. We drop a little bit to 27. Mire kind of hanging out there on an island. And it is basically 5th down all the way to almost like 13th that kind of all bunched up there. Now, this has me exciting, right? Because any of these squads can have a really solid game number 2 and find themselves at the top.
Yeah, I think all the way from like 6th through to about 15th, these are all teams that I feel throughout that previous game, they were either getting decent placements, but not enough kills to back it up. So for example, we saw Team Careless Kitty right in there at the end. However, lacking a couple of kills when we got to look in, or squads like enkeo, where just as they're starting to get from their mid game into their end game placing, they've got a solid amount of kills from there, but they're not able to execute the end game nicely. I think that that's why we've got that little tight bunch there. But, yeah, of course, no such problem for Biffle and Co. But I'm very curious to see if they can go back to back as we load into game 2.
Well, let's go ahead and see map number 2, like you mentioned, ready to hop on in. So will we see Team Falcons be able to have another huge map? Will we see the French squad be able to come back on in and be able to maybe also potentially take back-to-back games? We will have to wait and see. Flying on in, you got a zone pulling you a little bit towards that northeastern side. We mentioned, Superstore potentially being a hot drop here. And well, it's in the zone. You have potentially a zone to pull up towards it. We'll have to wait and see. Anybody going to go there? For this squad, though, you can see what they have marked as they are flying over towards it.
I don't speak a word of French, unfortunately. I'd love to. You know what? I did once study French, and I could have basic conversations, but unfortunately, it all left me. I will say, if you are heading anywhere near pop-off power, it is very risky with Biffle and Co being here because they are as well so used to having their space. The Falcons are so used to having a pocket around them that no one contests. I think, honestly, right now, if you make that play happen, if you're Zach and Co and you actually manage to get the drop on Biffle and Co, it might be the one time you get away with hitting pop-off.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I also feel like Popov is just so big, though. Like, if they really want to try and land here and also just maybe create some space between them and the Falcons, like, I feel like you could, right? You just have to understand, you know what building they like to land at. You know where the area they're kind of chilling at. Just kind of maybe give yourself a little bit of space. Give yourself a little bit of distance. You can wrap around them if you do need to. So it's definitely a possibility. I think that's one thing. A lot of people play scared around them. Like nobody else wants to land Popov. And it's just like, why? You know, yes, you have a great team landing there, but you're giving us this team so much space on the map. It's kind of wild. So we drop on in. We see they're over here. It looks like uncontested so far. And well, they're feeling pretty good.
I mean, they're so used to that pocket of space. They go so wide. Like, you almost pan into them sometimes. It looks like 3 solos on the map. And I don't know. I am always curious about if someone's going to go, you know what? Let's try and contest them. Obviously, at the risk of their own game. Because even if they're by themselves, they are the most difficult kill on the map. You and me both interviewed players at the Esports World Cup. We've spoken to so many of the players across the scene. They all say these 3 are the most nightmarish trios to come across. Because not only can they do incredible things on the offensive, they just don't die, Dandra.
Yeah, very, very good at playing their life. And this is like right here. I mean, so you're starting to see there is a loadout across the way. They've been able to mark that. A bunker buster in hand if you are Biffle. Kind of maybe trying to figure out, do you want to full send this or do you just kind of keep your eyes on them? They do have their loadout, so you could kind of get a little bit aggro if you wanted to. I think Biffle wanted to maybe try and fly on over, but fell through that roof.
I heard Soka there for a second saying that I think Soka I think Soka was frustrated by the lack of comms there for a moment. I do believe that Biffle wanted to push it. Soka said, hang on a second, we're nowhere near you, at least let us get up close. And then Soka hears nothing, so he's like, well, what's going on? Tell me. So losing his temper with his young gun there just for a moment. Biffle getting counter sniped. Obviously no one-shot snipers available here, so it's just enough to burn through a couple of plates. Biffle with tempered won't really care. And now Soka and Biffle looking to take the high ground here, the bridge up and over. And they catch this team as they were trying to escape. If the opposing side did indeed fly into the water, then they're going to be stranded on the opposite bank. And that kind of escape route is just going to be punished. Smoke might well get them out, but there's a PA and a bunker buster called in. The Falcons want this.
So, yeah, this is a little bit of the trick I was waiting on somebody to pull out here, Enigma. Teams have figured out that if you drop a bunker buster and PA over the top of it, you don't get the bunker buster nodie. Nor do I, it's really hard to see on your map, okay? So we're starting to see people, they'll double bunker buster a building and then PA over the top of it. And a lot of times it'll result in at least a knock because you just don't have the opportunity to try and react to it. You think it's just a PA, so you're good inside. And the next thing you know, you're just getting fumigated by gas and having explosions go off all around you. It's really, really dirty. Now, granted, that's a lot of investment, dirty, right? 3 kill streaks is a lot to invest for it. But if you're trying to fight for a building, pretty worth it, in my opinion.
As well, when you're a squad like Biffle and Co. and you have so much space around Popov, they rack together so much cash. So, I mean, it may just be worth doing it and then go and pick it up a few more. Zach and Co. looking to land on this. Hollow just going to get in behind. I'm not sure exactly who he's landed behind. This could be Biffle. This could be Soka. This could be whoever they were chasing on after. It appears for a moment they've lost them. Hollow and his opposing player both damage on each other. And who is that? That's actually Savvy Ultras. So was this the players that were trying to escape from the Falcons just moments ago? The Frenchmen losing their fights to the Italians. We will get to check on over towards Zach, who actually might enact revenge. It's just not enough. And that's that drop-off that I was telling you about. It just loses a little bit at range, this weapon.
Yeah, I mean, some good shots coming from Zach there, but Hollow is eliminated. Can you maybe shoot through the water? Use some of these water physics. Resolute, keeping this player alive. Zach on the hunt. Can he manage to be able to bring them on down? But you get caught with the pistol out coming out of the water. A little bit of just desserts there as there's a bunker buster that goes in up over Zach. We'll give him the spot he needs. And it's just finally the few shots onto Zunks that will be able to help them clean it on up.
Beautiful coverage from the 2 teammates there. You're absolutely right. Zach overextended. He overstayed his welcome for sure. It took quite a lot of bullets out of either Xavi or Zanks, but aydan deals with Zanks, and then Xavi's cleaned up, trying to rotate back on in. So although the French lose the player initially in Hollow, who has won his gulag and gotten back on in, it will be a relatively clean exchange for the French. They'll be happy enough to just lose the 1 player's gulag and come away from that with a few kills to get their game underway. I will say, always very impressed by aydan picking up a sniper, considering his mouse and keyboard and making it work the way that he does. And again, that STG is just lacking. aydan actually plucks oekiy out of the sky, by the way.
Good shots. I mean, yeah, I feel like it depends on your build, right? I mean, some people are rocking either high grain or high velocity with this STG. So you got to give it that little bit of extra oomph. Other players are really they want the recoil. They want this thing to be an absolute laser beam, you know, so that way if somebody is trying to hold a heady, you can just rip them off it. It's really about whatever you're trying to prioritize. So we're seeing some people find some success with it, kind of being able to get their shots out of the air. Other people doing a great job just being able to rip them on apart. Rated Bulieve in Intex, though, a squad that we saw kind of have to play a little bit of regain in that last map there. In a similar situation here already. Again, you have Blast, who's been able to find Bulieve, puts Intex and Rated into the 2v3. Rated already on the exit. But the thing I'm worried about here, I'm looking at the mini-map. Intex is still in the building. He's still fighting. Rated is not even able to provide cover.
Yeah, we can't hear the comms there, but honestly, I think there's a complete breakdown in communication. I'm not sure if they get rolled up on unexpectedly, but it looked like they expected to fight, and then Bulieve is maybe trying to hit a flank or a wrap or something and just gets caught out by himself. That leaves Intex and Rated 2v3. Rated escapes out the back door. Intex just doesn't see it coming. Rated probably isn't getting away with this. Bulieve has managed to win his goo and is floating on over the top, but if you're Rated, I'm saying don't land anywhere near me. I'm in big trouble right now.
Yeah, not feeling great. On over to the Germans. Melvin, Fuzzin, and Pentagon sitting on top of fire, looking around them. And I like that you kind of want to hang out here at this cargo area. You can definitely catch some people coming on in. Cargo, I'll mention it every single time. It's either the kill or be killed area, right? You're either reaping it cargo, or next thing you know, you're trying to make a wrap on in and you're just getting laser beamed by 4 different teams as you're trying to just make your way across the map. It looks like some UAVs will come on out, give them the information they need. The fire sale is here. A reminder, we are in the World Series of Warzone playlist, so this fire sale is guaranteed every single game. We see a lot of players kind of stack their cash, hold on to it. The second this fire sale happens, you see them pop 3 UAVs. You get an advanced roll and gives them an opportunity to look at where is the rest of this zone. And I like this idea, Enigma. Hop in the LTV. You know where people are. Start moving on the map.
Yeah, and you're just cutting off players who wanted to try and come and take advantage of the fire sale. They may be rotating in for it late. They haven't spotted that they need to get here early enough. So you're just able to catch them. And of course, that looks like it's a solo as well. You end up in these moments where players have waited to buy their players back on in, their teammates back on in. They've waited for this fire sale to happen. So, of course, you're not only picking up players that are trying to, you know, roll up on the same spot as you if you are the Germans there. You're also picking up walking wounded. Speaking of which, enkeo gromalokk Heeds will likely feel that they can do better than last map. It seems like they're in a massive fight here. And enkeo turns. enkeo burns. That's shifty. But Heeds also falls in the back. enkeo down as well. gromalokk on his own. He's trying to cover on over, but it won't be enough. Biffle gets the cleanups.
Yeah, you saw some trades there. It was looking good. You have gromalokk playing on top of the fire station. Just trying to look on down through. It's a great positioning, but if you are the other two, you're trying to stay alive. We see them all get fully eliminated. I saw some gulags, though, still in play. So even though, yeah, you get taken up by oekiy, win a couple gulags, you should be able to find your way back on in. Back on over to the team I highlighted earlier, T-Echo and Lovey. Already with 2 is T. They're also kind of playing in this edge zone, trying to figure out where do they want to kind of play out the rest of this side. Do you want to kind of make your way through the apartments, or do you want to try and go over the hill?
I like the call outs because it is a it's a difficult rotation. Echo's got a couple of questions. T loses all of her plates. She has no spares, so she needs a few teammates to drop some. I gotta say that skin that Lovey is wearing is one of the best I have seen in some time. I absolutely adore it. Googly eyes and everything, but yeah, you're right about the call out. They've got a difficult rotation to make next, a few difficult decisions, and apparently a squad already knows they're there. And if you get sniped in the window once, potentially don't stand in it a second time, T. I don't know what to tell you there. Echo loses his gunfight down below. I'm assuming that Lovey's got little in the way of utility. Bunker Buster's going to come in as well. T's down to 1 HP. T will fall. Lovey, you're by yourself. Best of luck. And that is exactly how that goes down. You can complain about the Bunker Buster all you want, but that was of your own making.
Yeah, a little bit of it's like just a missed timing, honestly, from Echo. You're feeling pretty solid, but Echo going down, getting ripped apart. Just kind of lets that team know they can fly on through. The bunker buster on top, it forces them to come down the stairs. It is just a bad situation for T and Lovey to kind of try and play that and stay alive. So they go down very early. Definitely not what they want to see. I believe they had 8 eliminations to their name. No multiplier in effect yet, so at least you get 8 points. Not the best, but I've seen worse. So come on over to Swish'em Nyson and Nida. Swish trying her best to kind of keep it going through and, well, play alongside her teammates. Maybe you can find something here on the outsides of the town.
Here, I'm gonna throw this muni.
I like this. Just get yourself set up, get yourself together. Get all of your utility. If you haven't heard of Nida and Nielsen, you should have done by now. They came 9th in the MEA finals, through to LAN. Honestly, Nida in particular, a ridiculously straight shooter. He brings a lot of technical skills, to gunfights. Speaking of technical skills, Superevan on our screen right now. He's ottereyes and Trick, of course. They've got to figure out their own rotation as well. I feel like every time we pan to a team at the minute, Dandro, we are seeing teams on the edge of zone who have a lot of work to do to get somewhere safe, and we've still got 29 squads here.
Oh, yeah. I think that's totally what you have to be able to hang out on, right? It's this zone, particularly when you look at it. It's like, sure, you found this building that you're going to be like, oh, we're going to get so many eliminations. People are going to try and rotate through us. And then it's like, okay, you might be able to do that. But then I'm looking at the large tracts of land that you have to somehow cross for free to be able to maybe get to the next area on the map. And it's just so hard. That's why we see a team like Team Falcons kind of trying to fight for that hill, because they understand all of these people you're seeing down here at apartments, that you're kind of seeing over here having to push out of cargo and such, are going to have to kind of roll through this area. And you can kind of lure them into the spider's web to be able to find a lot of these eliminations.
I like the use there of the term spider's web, because that's exactly how it feels, right? With some of these teams, once they set themselves up in a certain POI, Biffle, Shifty, and Soka, of course, some of the best at that. They essentially lay traps. They've got little bottlenecks, potential areas that they surveillance, and they just make sure that anyone that comes within their zone, within their web, as you said, just gets caught and gets taken apart. But right now, Biffle, Shifty, and Soka looking to rotate through the eastern side of cargo. Oh, and actually Biffle's going to get shot from the opposite side. A quick bit of movement there. Manages to spare his life. That looked like it came from a nearby buy station, potentially. But team in front, team behind. Falcons have got a lot of work to do right in this moment.
Try to, like, get a pick on this guy. Crouch walking.
I'm on my roof now. Try to look for you. He was on ulti.
What roof? My roof?
Well, Enigma, let's go ahead. This is the team that we've had our eye on. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of a listen in as they are playing this edge of zone, trying to be able to find some more eliminations.
You got another team here?
Yeah, we gotta, like, third that team.
That's three.
July was weak.
I have to go more left, dude. They're gonna hold you.
On us.
Shit.
Crack. Bad. Fuck. What is he doing? He's so bad for that.
Have a gas on me?
No.
I'm gonna try to rest him on this buy then.
I got a PDS I just found. This PDS is up here if you need it. I might have had two. Yeah, you got hella PDSs. Yeah, this team's on the roof looking at us.
Oh, give me a second.
We'll be able to row out the right side. You're just gonna have to, like, fight them. You're gonna have to shoot them, okay, D? Like, when I get res. Yeah. We'll be able to row this right wall 100% with smokes.
Res right?
Yeah, they're just fucking literally snaking and just looking at us. Yeah, start shooting them, D. You need to start shooting them now. I'm gonna try to insta land. We still got 30 seconds, so we have to move.
Oh, that roof right there?
Yeah, there was on the bridge right here. There was one. I don't know where he went though.
There's one on the right side right here.
I'm gonna smoke up. See what they do.
Here. We're gonna have to stack up on smokes too, by the way. I have 2 PSs, by the way.
I have one.
I'm gonna try to slither through on the right.
Switching to a fucking ghost brick package.
I can't.
I gotta say,
they're getting shot from ruins.
It was a wonderful time to listen in, because that told us so much about how this 3 play through situations where so many others get broken down. Not only in the moment where Shifty gets shot, Biffle gets shot in the back, and then you essentially have Soka reposition, Shifty reposition in order to cover on over him and provide the info to each other. But then when Shifty falls, it's all about, okay, we need to set this up so that we bring Shifty back in and then execute a recovery play that ensures that he gets back in for free. And the way they time it all up is just absolutely wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're trying to learn how to play Warzone on the top level, tune into these guys, because they are different.
Yeah, and it's really all about their positioning right now, and you're hearing that in the comms, right? Right now, I'm looking at, we're seeing 3 for Biffle. I think it was 3 for Shifty and then 2 for Soka. So a lot slower of a game for them. That, to me, feels like the story of the lobby. I don't think anybody is really on any banger games right now. If they can make their way to the end game and set themselves up, we know that they can kind of clutch it up, and this is a team that loves to find a lot of their eliminations in the end game. So they've somehow made it into zone. They're hanging out in this cargo area. We see Biffle kind of show his face a little bit up at the top, but somebody lights him on up. We'll force him to back on down. The only thing I'm worried about here, Enigma, is exactly this rotation that they're trying to figure out. How do you want to do? It is a body of water between you and land, and you know that somebody is trying to hold you on down.
Yeah, it's almost surprising to see them in this spot, because usually Biffle and Co are so good at putting themselves in a spot where no matter which way the zone pulls, they have themselves a relatively safe route. But trying to get back across from cargo towards Old Town, that is a hellish rotation to try and make. Speaking of which, Swisham and the 2 Frenchmen don't have it easy either. Low on utility. We'll have a couple of plates each, but got to figure out how to wrap. And with 17 squads still in this, you got to assume that Old Town is going to be full of teams, full of trouble around every single corner. And is there potentially a team in the bunker too?
Potentially. Counter UAV comes up to their south. I guess technically they're north because she's looking south. Compasses are hard. But that's going to kind of obfuscate a lot of information below them, right? Somebody starts firing their gun. If it's maybe somebody coming in off a regain, you're not going to know. But Swisham, eyes on this bunker, trying to make sure nobody's coming out of this for free. I'm a little bit surprised they haven't shot out the drone, right? Like, keep them. If you think there's a team down there, shoot out the drone. They have to have a PRD if they want to make their way on out. You potentially could kind of lock out an entire team, but it doesn't look like they want to do that, make their presence known just yet. As well, we're seeing some W's in the chat for Swisham, and I love it.
No, absolutely. Passion being art and everything, you know. Those graphics go crazy, but W's are always a good thing. Oh boy, looking on out here over a flurry of activity below. It is on a rooftop though, so this should give you a relatively free rotation as long as you can skirt along the edges. The thing is, there's going to be no such thing because they've made too much noise. They've been here for too long. Other teams are shooting at them. And although you are on a rooftop, it is not the highest landmass here. And that building that is pinged smack bang central zone, that's where they want to get to. That is where their dead teammate Picnic is coming out. Get yourselves across to there. But how the hell do you do that? You know there's a squad beneath you. There's one ringing out bullets just across. A C4 comes up and catches Ryder and Oakboy flush. If there's any more to come, they could be in big trouble because Oakboy's down to his last plate.
Yeah, Oakboy trying to be able to stay alive here. Ryder also maybe playing along through. Can you find anything here down below? It doesn't look like it. Oakboy hanging on by a thread. It's just going to be one little bit of damage that brings him on down. Ryder, thankfully, able to have the full plates. Maybe some full pings if you are Oak, but that is a squad eliminated in 11th. Heartbreaker finish. You at least want to be able to get that 1.6 there. Multiplier, but just out of the money. So we're into our top 10. Vonbot, Prospect, and Advanced looking to make it happen. Von, surprisingly, with 0 eliminations.
Yeah, that is not something you see every day. This team, by the way, won last week in the Summer Survival Series. Showed real grit. Unexpected of a squad that came together so last second. However, you're right. To see Vonbot on 0 kills is just... I don't know if... I'm honestly expecting that to be some sort of bug. This guy shoots so straight. STG in hand. You've got quite a crossing to make, though. Still 8 teams up. For me, the 3 of them right now, by the way, quite split. They're not necessarily looking over the same angles. They got to figure out how to get back together and get on the same wavelength there.
Oh, wait, we just say Mirai, xressolve, and Clamp get absolutely lasered apart, and that looked like it was Aydan, DJ Moss, and Z Smith. But back on over to Team Falcons. They're making a little bit of an unconventional wrap here, Enigma, trying to make their way out the full side. Maybe you can make it to the slow side. PDS, though, will be able to come on down, give them the opportunity to kind of reset. We're not going to gas mask, at least on the hands of Biffle. So that's going to be tough. Out in the gas also. Almond is here. Noobs goes down to Louis CM. Can Almond maybe try and play away? No, he's trying to jump up, but unfortunately for him, he's able to stay alive long enough. Skullface drops from the skies on top of him, but there's a PA. You got to move here real quick.
They're just hoping to brace, hold the wall, and hope that it does something for them, and they will stay alive into your top 5 then. That's your 1.8 times multiplayer. So everything from here is for the win.
On my left. Left tight.
And Almond manages to get on up, and Skullface actually gets the knock on towards the end, but Almond as well with the high ground here. Almond with the angle will get the last bit of damage in, surely. Louis CM gets knocked as well. Skullface going massive here. We're down to our final 4. What I'm saying is, where the hell are the other 3 teams? Look at our circle that remains.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be playing underneath somewhere. That's what I'm kind of curious about. And you see this buy station. Oh, man, he drops on down, gets the buyback in. It's not going to be enough. DJ Moss is able to find Shifty, though. Aydan gets knocked as well. All 3 from Fnatic, able to stay alive here. You're seeing some PDSs go off in the gas, and it is a kid on Christmas as Almond looks on through and sees all of this loot, lays in wait, armor crack onto this player, flies on through, brings down DJ Moss. Are you able to find Aydan and Z Smith, though? That is the question. You're playing out in the gas. The zone is fully far away. Skullface is able to stay alive. Almond not going to be here. Will get ripped up by Z Smith. I think we're coming down to a 2v1. You got Z Smith in the gas. Skullface trying to do his best to play alive. Smith still finding eliminations. He's able to take down noobs. 1v1. Can you do it? He can. Skullface from the brink of death, able to get back on up, clutch up for the team.
Tell you what, I thought Smith had pulled off a 1v3 there. I thought he'd done it. Skullface was counting his lucky chickens that you end up with him backing off towards this buy station. He reads that like a book, thankfully, and shuts it down. But otherwise, Smith pulls off ridiculous heroics, baits Almond out using the PDS who can't get there in time, wins the gunfight then on to Noob. So yeah, Fnatic coming out on top, continuing a little bit of what feels like a purple patch at the minute, a little bit of a hot streak. They've struggled with Kazakhstan a lot throughout 2024, but it feels like they're starting to find their feet a bit, potentially off the back of the great work that they did at the Esports World Cup, and of course that boot camp that they had in London.
Yeah, heartbreaking story for that squad to not make it to the World Series of Warzone through the LCQ, but I love that they've been able to stay together because they understand, hey, there are more tournaments to be had. Call of Duty Warzone Total Frenzy, one of them as well. Love to see them take map number 2, but the question will always be, Enigma, how many eliminations did they have to take advantage of that 2 times multiplier? Let's break down a little bit of that end game because it was really, really clutch from Almond there, right? He's able to just barely stay alive on that edge of gas. We kind of see Skullface literally drop from the sky in front of him. A PA comes in up over the top. Somehow they find the one corner that doesn't hit the PA. Almond's able to drop in on top of that portable buy station, get noobs back into the mix. And from there, it was just about, hey, let me push out into the gas. Let me find some of those eliminations and to be able to lock on up the rest of that game. You saw Skullface just saying, hey, all I'm going to do is just try and play in zone. That's all I need to go ahead and do. And it worked out great for them. And well, 18 and a win. God. Not a bad way to have game number 2 go your way.
No, it's not at all. And honestly, it's surprising to see Almond only on the 2 because you're right. And this is one of those moments where we talk about how sometimes the scoreboard, the kill board, the kill totals in Warzone are not reflective of the contributions that are made by certain players because they only stay alive because of Almond. He is the player that manages to res Skullface, sure, but he also gets the angle up on top that then exposes both Wars and Louis CM to Skullface to get the kill. And then it's Almond that drops on down and gets involved in the thick of things down near the buy station. So yes, Skullface, we will, of course, duly give him his flowers for 9 kills, Noobs with 7 as well, but no doubting Almond's contribution there to the victory.
Yeah, really, really solid play. It's kind of one of those intangibles, right? We don't see on the scoreboard, but it's without Almond's big plays at the end, that team does not come out on top. So good work from them. At least, hey, good job from Noobs and Skullface to be able to at least find the eliminations to help them take advantage of it. 18, 36 points, not too shabby. And David, we are through our first 2 games of our event here today. So we're going to go to a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be taking a look at the leaderboard and hopping into game number 3. So don't go anywhere. We have plenty of more electric Warzone coming your way as part of Call of Duty Warzone Total Frenzy.
jumped out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. I'm going roof.
I'm good.
Oh my god.
No, stay down.
Kill.
I'll fucking really good.
No.
One's there, Brad.
Broken. Got him.
One's outer.
Okay, healing.
Knocked one.
Nice. I smoked that out. I'm nading outer too. He's gonna try out the door. One top over my wall.
I got my full dead. One's like outer left.
Un autre sur moi. En bas.
Tac.
Vas-y, remonte. Et les gars, va falloir qu'on sorte avec des smokes après, ok? Vas-y, vous êtes prêts? Maintenant. À gauche. Suivez-moi. Un mort. À droite, à ma droite. Let's go, bitch.
Smoking it. I mantled the height. On my left. Left height. Weak on that full. Yeah. Absolute on that full. Yeah. I'm pushing, yeah. Okay. Yeah. But there's a bunch of kids under still. Oh, I got it there. I'm pushing.
Oh shit. I just fucking...
One more to the right here. Okay. Yeah. Live one. Under me still, skull right under me. I'm shot him. Weak. 1E. Yeah, PSC4 solo. I can't get his zone. He's PDSing still deep, right there. I can't get all.
You don't have a sub. He's right there live. He's going down. Going down to the arches. Oh.
Nice.
That was so
fucking ace with no
I literally couldn't find.
Warzone Total Frenzy. We are through our first two maps. We just ended map number 2 with Fnatic being able to take it with 18 eliminations, netting them 36 points. We have our leaderboards ready though, so Enigma, let's take a look at where we are, starting off with our overall kill leaderboard. Who's really frying in some of these maps? And well, no surprise to us, it's Shifty on top.
Of course it is, and of course all 3 of the Falcons are going to be located in this top 10. Shifty there on 21 at the top, Biffle in 4th with 14, and then Soka in 9th with 11th. Skullface is having himself a really good game because he's appearing twice. But what I will say, Z-Smith and Adrian also in here. A lot of the big names that we kind of talk up a lot through the year, and you know, they want to peak when it starts to come to a certain time in the season. Feels like we're seeing a lot of them in this leaderboard. We're seeing them perform when it comes to these stages.
Yeah, I love to see really just a lot of the different players on this, you know, overall individual elimination leaderboard. I like seeing 10 different teams being represented here, but unfortunately that isn't always the case when you have 3 absolute superstars like we do, all taking up, you know, 3 of the top 10 spots. So it's only got to mean one thing: if they're all 3 on top of this overall individual elimination board. Oh yeah. Let's go ahead. Let's look at our team leaderboard, because I think we might know who's currently on top. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, with 80.4 points in 2 games, already over the halfway point towards our 150 Call of Duty Warzone match point threshold. Wild. But Team Skullface, by being able to take that game number 2, they managed to find second here, Enigma.
Yeah, building on what we were talking about towards the back end of that last map, which is that they seem to have found themselves now on Urzikstan. It's unfortunate because it's a little bit too late, perhaps, because they won't be making it to the World Series finals. However, it is better from them since they did that boot camp in London, got together under the Fnatic banner and kind of discussed a couple of things and worked on a couple of things together. So that's always wonderful to see. Obviously huge names in the space. Team Braxton also holding on to 3rd. What I will say is that it feels like a lot of the teams from 3rd down kind of just had a meh game. It just feels like that gap is almost the exact same as it was before, but a couple of teams flipped over.
Yeah, no, I mean, we kind of even saw that. It felt like a really low elimination game overall, right? Like, when we kind of see that, when we came down, I mean, 18 for Fnatic, that's great. But it kind of felt like a lot of the other squads we were tuning on in with maybe didn't have a lot of those kills. So that kind of sort of chunk of teams really kind of coming together all there at one. On the other side, though, well, I hate to see it, but Stable J currently in 38th, 5 points. A little rough situation there. Huskers not too far away as well. So a rough 2 games for some of these squads, but the beauty of this format here, Enigma, hey, all it takes is 1 game to maybe find yourself here, you know, at least in our top 10. I
mean, there was 2 other teams down there as well. eBates running with prxdigy and oekiy. I mean, at this point, I expect prxdigy and oekiy to start taking over lobbies. And eBates, look, we give him a lot of slack, calling the glorified podcaster and all that stuff, right? But he does know how to work it on the map, so I'd expect them to do a bit more. Also, you had Team Blade down there. It's Blade, Vortex, and Robstar. Full World Series trio. Expect them to come up and you know, if we're not talking about a win, I'm still expecting them to be top 10. So yeah, some underperformances right now, but you mentioned it there yourself. With match point, yes, it could be over maybe in 5 games, looking at the current numbers that Team Biffle are putting up, but it could be 8, 9, and beyond. So there's a lot of time to get yourself back into these. It's not over till the fat lady sings. I tell you what, my grandma hasn't warmed up her vocals just yet. She's feeling fine. So we got a while to go, and we've nothing to be concerned about. If you're those teams, you just got to start cooking now in map 3.
Respect your elders. You just called your grandmother fat live on broadcast, brother.
She's a big lady. She's a big lady. All right.
She happened to also be an opera singer. Like,
she was a cook for like years. I mean, I don't know what you expect when you're a cook for years. She's a big lady. I love her to death, you know. But you know, it just is what it is.
Okay, well that's fair. I mean, you said it's not over till the fat lady sings, and well, we might be only 2 games away from that as well. Well, we have one team, Team Falcons, already over the halfway point to march towards that 150. The question I'm going to pose to you as we're getting ready to head into map number 3 here, Enigma. If you are one of these teams, you're looking at Team Falcons, who's already on 80 points. You say, okay, if they get there in 2 games, what are we doing? Do you think there's a lot of pressure on some of these other squads that they really have to start turning up, because they might be closing this game out in 5?
Well, this is the thing. Whenever you start to add Team Biffle into the mix, is the timer is just on you as a squad. You know, a lot of these are, if you don't have Team Biffle in there, you might well go the longer distance when we start talking maps. So you end up with, you know, okay, we've got more time to figure out the tournament. We've got more time to kind of put some kills on the board. You're right. These guys could finish it in 5, and what that does to everyone else is just make it even more punishing if you don't get off to a good game. If you don't have a good start, you are truly chasing a horse that is sailing off into the sunset.
Very, very true. Well, as we hop into game number 3, let's see, what's the game plan for Fnatic off the drop here, Name? We're seeing a most wanted get picked up. Skullface is making his way over just outside of Lowtown as well. Can hopefully be able to find some more of those. And well, you got somebody just hanging out in the sky, maybe trying to figure out where they'd like to go elsewhere on the map. But hey, a solid game number 2 puts Fnatic in second. Maybe this is the map that, you know, Team Falcons, they have a little bit of a dub. Fnatic, they can go back to back. And maybe we could be actually seeing somebody contest them at the top of the leaderboard.
It would be nice, right? It's always the best when we see SSD truly pushed. We saw that. We got to witness that at the Esports World Cup. Yes, Falcons come out on top still, but they were made to work for it. They were made to sweat just a little bit by the very team on your screen right now. And nothing better than when we start talking match point and there's 4, 5, 6 teams all dueling it out, all fighting each other in endgame. We love to see those, but if you are going to make that sort of scenario happen, if you are going to be part of the conversation, spoke about it just moments ago, you've got a lot of chasing to do when you're up against Biffle and Co. Because even when they don't finish in the top 5, they're still putting up 30-odd kills. They're such a team to chase.
Yeah, and I think that's really the secret, right? Is that a lot of our teams, it's kind of the one thing I'm saying, and it's always, you know, way easier said than done. But like, I feel like a lot of people maybe prioritize the placement aspect just like a little bit too much. I would like to see some of these squads who are very capable of doing so just find a lot of their eliminations and then kind of focus once we get to that mid game on, okay, where do we want to try and play? How do we want to play for placement? Because that's really all Team Falcons does, right? They're able to find a lot of eliminations early on and then are just able to convert that into the placement point. So we'll have to wait and see. But already, early game for Fnatic. A little bit of a rough start here as Noobs already sent to the gulag.
Yeah, Raul actually picking him on off. Skullface manages to get a crack onto one, but there's a player actually slipping underneath him. Allman's going to be there to try and check over and cover up. And actually, Skullface just decides to chal it himself and actually picks up Destroy. However, it won't be enough as Vortex then finds Noob. So there's multiple teams in this area. Fnatic have made a lot of noise. They've been hanging around for maybe too long. They will be punished for that. One of those moments where it feels like Fnatic potentially off to a solid start. They have a bunker. They've got themselves a loadout together. And just all that momentum that they potentially built up from the back end of last map, start of this map, cut off at the knees. They're sent to the gulag.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually even extra worse because, you know, Noobs goes down to Vortex there. That was in the gulag, reminder. So that's already, you're losing a gulag if you are Noobs, right? You lose the first fight you take against Destroy. You get sent to the gulag. And the next thing you know, you're just already out of the game. A rough scene for Fnatic. But over towards the Bazaar, we got DJ Moss trying to take this fight. Unfortunately, does go down at the hands of Resolve. Now, we know that these two teams love fighting for this Bazaar POI, and that's the thing I love about Aydan, Z-Smith, and DJ Moss. They know this contest is happening off the drop. They love fighting for it. They feel confident in it. And right there, if you are DJ, just unfortunately for you, it looks like Panda gets the best of you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going back for the old. I'm going back for that.
That'd be frustrating. Almond, however, just trying to help Fnatic. Oh, okay. I feel like you don't get too much of that out of Ben. What was that?
Ooh, I don't know.
A little bit of spice coming out of Almond here. Usually our friendly neighborhood Almond just does his job on the map, doesn't really get too involved in all that. But all right, you talk your smack, Ben. We love to hear it. I mean, to be fair, you've just won map 2. You're feeling pretty good. You come into map 3. You get off to a little bit of a slower start. You don't want that momentum to curtail. Get in your teammates' ears. Get loud and proud about it and get them moving.
Yeah, I feel like that is kind of the job of Skull sometimes, right? Skull's usually the one who's kind of trying to bring the energy, but I like that Almond is starting to be that player as well. I also want to just point out, hot second. When he hit the loadout, he had a loadout specifically called Match Point, which is, I'm pretty sure, the loadout that he picks up when they are trying to win a game. And that's just like so dope to me that like most people probably wouldn't think about that, but just kind of goes to show some of the thoughts some of these players put in when it comes to trying to be able just to play their game and how they want to approach it versus
100%.
Getting to that Call of Duty Warzone match point and then trying to be able to close out a game.
No, 100%. And we spoke with, again, Biffle yesterday in that interview. We've spoken to them at the Esports World Cup and various things throughout this year and previous years. I don't think people truly understand how much work these guys put in, but Noob's apparently not doing enough. Misses the landing that he's trying to make happen there. I'm not sure what his plan was. Hollow will make him punish him, for it. we're actually going to change on over towards Cloud9. I was about to say you'd never really understand how much work these boys put in, but Noobs gets his timing all wrong there, and well, that's got to be frustrating again if you're Fnatic. Just as it feels like you're starting to build yourself back into this lobby, you lose one of your star players.
Yeah, you're getting put in the blender. Into the cycle you go. Rough start for them. They love playing around that area of the map, but it just looks like there's a couple teams kind of thwarting their attempts at holding a high ground. C9, on the other hand, we know they love playing up top here. They love trying to look down at some of these apartments, finding people around there. I believe I did hear a sniper in the hands of Breadman, as is tradition. So we're going to see Joe fly on through, grab this LTV, bring it back on up to the team, and I definitely like this idea.
I don't know what Joe was doing there, but he was jumped in the LTV, stared into my soul through his webcam. I'm not sure what the signal was that he was trying to give, but he's good. He's got himself back up to his Cloud9 boys. I spoke a little bit about them at the top of the show. Finished third yesterday. Seemed to finally be showing some consistency, the kind of levels of performance that we expected of them when they came together. I think it's a good bounce back and a good time to bounce back after the disappointment at the Esports World Cup. Biffle, Shifty, Soka, they've decided to play around the helicopter here. Have the advanced. I'm just trying to decide who it is that they decide to push in on. And, well, the players have... No, I mean, no one dove out. I'm not sure what happened there. Was that miscommunication, potentially? Or just a seat swap that nearly goes all wrong for Biffle because he ends up very weak. He actually ends up being potentially caught in a PA as well. How is he still alive here? He might well get pushed. The chopper has been abandoned. Soka's trying to cover on over. Shifty's trying to also pick on up from a different building. There is some sort of triangle setup here, but none of this looks good for the Falcons.
Mortar strike coming in up over the top as well. Biffle's going to go ahead and retreat, maybe get to the building, look on over his two teammates, but they are split right now, Enigma. You have to try and maybe make your way back. UAV finally will get thrown out. A deployable buy will get dropped as well. Shifty does find Hollow, but Azen is there for the trade. Soka brings down a Hollow as well. Biffle starts making some shots out towards the other side of the window. So I'm right there with you. That felt like a little bit of a miscommunication. They have this advanced UAV pop. They know exactly where some of these teams are. They're flying throughout the map, and it kind of just felt like they were getting beamed. So I don't know if Biffle felt like he had to jump out in order to kind of play his life, but I feel like at that point you just either commit to maybe you have to go down, or the whole team has to commit to we need to take this fight now.
Yeah, I agree entirely. I think it was a very weird one, uncharacteristic of the Falcons, but in typical fashion, they will escape from it because while all that was going on, Shifty actually won his Gulag against Hollow. So although they end up losing that extra Gulag opportunity, they won't care too much about it because Shifty will just come straight back in. I think, again, just another characteristic that team possess. When they are up against the wall, when everything's going wrong for them, they just find ways of coming out of those situations very cleanly. Biffle has to just dive because he's so weak and the PA pushes him into the grass. But Shifty and Soka immediately abandon the chopper and set themselves over essentially adjoining rooftops so that they can just try and cover Biffle and make life as difficult as possible for the French. Another example of the quality that they have. And, well, enkeo, by the way, this could get interesting real quick.
By interesting, you mean terrible? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have a whole team that's just flying in. And, okay. I thought that was an enemy one real quick. Jump scare. All right. Mortar strike getting dumped on top of T's head. You can see one on top of the water tower trying to be able to get the shots on in, but knows there's two to the left. And, well, this looks like it's Nick Cool, Colony, and Watch Waldo. Nick Cool will go down at the hands of enkeo, who has been able to find himself on a different angle. And we start seeing Lovey in the vehicle trying to just maybe drive his way around, create a distraction. T has found herself in this canal of some sorts. Can maybe she lurk her way over to an angle?
Is it just one?
Like the call there.
Is it just one?
Honestly?
No, whole team.
Oh.
These trenches...
Yeah, that's not
oh, I was about to say, if you can slip by unnoticed, then you can definitely make a wrap. That will not work. She gets spotted, takes a lot of damage. Lovey's then cleaned up by Waldo. We're going to switch on over to Panda and Co, who are just trying to wrap around the back of this. So this is a potential third-party situation also coming on through. Panda's going to use the C4, cooks it, hits nothing.
Here, the smokes come on out. Can Panda and Volcom maybe play this? They go on through. Volcom is here. They're playing on through. They're flying together. You're seeing some of the live pings come on in. UAV ringing on out, giving them the information they need. Meet back up with Resolve and kind of steal this LTV that we saw Lovey going ham in. Resolve going down very low. The troops are here. The cavalry is in. They're flying on forward. One single player on a UAV, and you're kind of becoming a mobile turret at this point if you are Panda. Drops on out, brings down Watch Waldo. The third party successful for Panda, Volcom, and Resolve.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Covering up on over each other. Honestly, sometimes I think that the conversations that we have, you know, maybe you're a bit guilty of this. Oh, maybe we don't talk enough about the LATAM teams. Panda himself and Resolve both came first in the LATAM North qualifiers, put themselves on through to land. So definitely a side that when they pull off moments like that, potentially we probably should be surprised at how effective they are at cleaning them up. But Nico, Austin, Holly, I think this was one of the teams that were struggling. 3 points, 39th place currently. However, Nico and Falnets, it feels like that duo are never too far away from just having a game where they pop off and lift their team up into the fight.
No, they're definitely always kind of finding themselves, you know, in the mix a little bit. But unfortunate for them. I mean, Nico's able to find swag, but Austin goes down. Holly taking a lot of damage, trying to stay alive. Not able to snake these cushions just long enough. This is the self-revive, but I don't know if you're able to get out of this. Yeah, they fly on 4. It looks like it's Adrian who's going to be able to clean this one on up. They do. And just like that, a little bit of a sticky situation for Holly's team. They will get ripped apart. You hate to see it.
Yeah, that's tough as well. I feel for Holly because she takes those bullets, and I think she's trying to tell where the tracers are coming from. She expects it to be on the low ground, and when she checks out, it just means that she can get shot from above. If she hadn't actually tried to check out and counter that fight, she probably would have been protected. So that's rough. But again, we mentioned it there. Nico, Falnets, definitely a duo that she can work alongside to try and build themselves into this tournament. A squad that needs to build themselves a little bit more into this. Cloud9, Redman, Joe, and Jace. I said yesterday they played really well, but today it has been a mixed bag, and they've got to figure out a rotation over towards Superstore. And one of the interesting things here is obviously because with Superstore being so new here on Urzikstan, how do you approach it? Teams haven't had much time to figure that out yet.
Yeah, I kind of like this. They're looking a little trepidatious on how they want to move forward. It's a lot of space here. You know, it's a single POI, but a lot of different levels, a lot of nooks and crannies. You think you could be okay. You look on the mini map, you see a most wanted that is there. You saw another kind of ping come up, so you know there's probably at least one squad here. Definitely could potentially be more. Somebody probably just dropping that most wanted and then maybe trying to just play a little bit of a regain potentially. It looks like that might be the case. Little couple angles. You're starting to see some of those dots show up on the mini map here. So a fight going on. Does C9 try and third party this? They just play on the outskirts. It looks like they don't want to commit just so far.
Moment here of patience. Just trying to assess exactly how this fight is going down. Joe's actually picked up the comms here. Has to turn. Breadman also trying to clean on up there. That's going to be Strixie that's cleaned up. Actually just knocked for now. There's enough smokes to potentially cover it. Bunker Buster comes in. Strixie will get knocked back down. That's one hell of a way to get put on your backside a second time. And Joe will finish it. Advanced is popped, and I like this call from Breadman because honestly, the spot that they are in is very awkward. They're trying to rotate into Superstore. They most definitely do not have control of it, and there's just rolling hills as far as the eye can see that leave them exposed.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a weird situation, and they are playing it to the best of their ability. Looking around them, you have this advanced UAV popped. You're just kind of trying to keep tabs on where some of these teams are sitting at. Soka, Shifty, and Biffle. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, outside of this fire station, looking to kind of play this other side of this sort of hill that we were just seeing Joe look at. So if anybody tries to rotate back on over here, they will be able to find them. They see that PDS in the gas. You have to assume that's probably Strixie, Johnny Bro, and Stable J, who might be trying to make a play over there. But for now, for these three, at least a little bit of a semblance of stabilization, right? Last time we saw this squad, Enigma, they were in a fight over here, and it seems like they've been able to come out on top.
Of course. Every time I think, all right, maybe it's finally the Falcons struggling. Maybe they're finally having themselves a bad map. Of course not. At this point, we know that they've got a large crossing to make. We know that there's teams pushing up against Superstore. We've just seen Cloud9 there. We know that there's teams rolling on down the hills that Cloud9 were fighting. However, you absolutely cannot count out them making a very clean rotation here. The decision is whether or not to play around the balloon. I think that that's going to be the call from Soka. And they're already getting shot. Shifty takes quite a lot of damage. Biffle will take half a plate. But they've managed to get on over towards Superstore. So if you can get in here cleanly, it's a free rotation yet again out of your Falcons. Just getting in, surviving those routes that so many other squads get pulled apart on.
Follow me. Might want ADS walk.
You can hear some of the comms coming out there on how they want to do this. You're even, hearing Shifty call out like, yo, well, let's just ADS walk this. Let's just push on through. You can see they know that there's a team here. The live pinks come up through. Some fantastic shots. Biffle able to find Prospect. Two taking on down Vonbot and Prospect deleted. You know there's got to be one left, but do you expose yourself to try and fly on through? This UAV is ringing on out. You know that there are at least 3 teams here. So you got to kind of be a little bit patient. You want to be able to fly forward. You love to be able to get the squad wipe, but just not yet. You are 4 teams away from being in that top 10 and taking that 1.6 times multiplier.
I love the comm here, by the way, to take the high ground, to try and get the roof here, get yourself not only control over the surrounding area, but also then essentially the high ground to parachute off towards wherever your next rotation is. You could pick up so much info from here, potentially so many free kills as well.
I'm taking where I PA'd.
This is definitely the biggest fight so far of their map. The advanced comes on out. They know how important this is. Soka's actually going to be found. Soka's actually going to be out of here. It's Juki's who then gets knocked, traded essentially by Biffle. Smoke comes out to cover his back. Got to assume that Len and FIFA Killer just around the corner somewhere.
I do like the idea. You see immediately they throw that mobile buy down behind them. They want to get Soka back on in. Even though you got the down, you don't need to fully fly forward and commit to this. Smokes will cause a little bit of duress. Double mobile buy here as well. Shifty goes very low. And Biffle, you only have a money for 1. He's going to be able to get back Soka on into it. But you got to be able to hold it. And he finds a nice angle. There's 1. There's 2. Juki's and FIFA kill taken on down. Thankfully, Lennon is there for the trade. A great play from Biffle. But can you be able to regain if you are that squad?
Yeah, that's the question, right? Because although it's just Lennon, it's essentially in a 1v2 because Biffle hits the double buy. Lennon has all of his utility, so can he prevent those two from landing on their stuff and essentially just hold them using the Core 45s? We move on over to the Italians. Savi, Freddy, Zanks. They've been struggling so far through this tournament, currently sat in 30th place. They definitely have the potential to pop. Freddy finds Nico here. We are down to our final 12. It will be top 10 for your 1.6. So one more team and you've got yourself some free bonus points. However, what I will say, Savi currently only on 1 kill, so it won't do much good for him. Gotta hope that his 2 teammates are onto something here. You do have this wall that could cover you, but which way does the zone pull? It's going to be straight to the center. It's not the worst pull for you. You do have time. However, at some point, you have got to fly, and there's, a little bit of a shack next to you, and then it's all open ground, and that gas station is the big play right now.
Yeah, you can see it's over there. A couple people on the inside. Some great shots from Savvy Ultras. You get the armor crack. They make them a bullet, but just no fulls there. Somebody else on the roof, though. Do you get any team shots? No. So you are making yourself known. And Freddy gets absolutely ripped apart. Just trying to peek on out by Z Dark. And, well, look who's here. It's our boys from Mexico, Amir, Castillo, and Z Dark. Looking to clutch up here in game number 3. A lackluster tournament thus far. Currently sitting in 31st place, but they can turn it around here.
Yeah, Amir makes a bit of a meal of trying to get over the wall there. He just can't escape, and therefore he ends up getting picked up. I believe that the players also saw someone up on the tower, and that could be Resolve, who drops in, finds Amir. So Castillo, Dark in trouble. Castillo will fall. Dark is out of here. That's actually Zanks getting one and Resolve getting another. I'm not 100% sure, but I think Resolve was the man on the tower. I'm not sure why Amir and Co didn't deal with him when they had the chance. Left their back open, and when they had to collapse back, they were not in a safe spot to do so.
Top 4 already. Careless Kitty alongside E700. They're here. No real funds to get Funzy back on into it. Sage and Adrian. They're trying to reap the rest of this lobby, playing alongside a great angle. Sage, you have the cash if you can get back up here and maybe to get swag back on into it. We'll have to wait and see.
Try to focus his left team so you guys can roam.
There's a bunker somewhere on his body. I don't see it though.
I have no smokes. I have no.
Oh, I like some of these comms.
Yeah.
Swag just saying, focus to your left. Keep your eye on this team. Okay, Adrian.
I'm dead.
Oh, it's beautiful initially, but then you will eventually see Adrian fall. He's cleaned up. T, Echo, still in this one. They find another knock. Adrian, Sage, and Swag are out of here. T, Echo, and Lovey will come out on top. We heard last game how frustrated Echo was. He was disappointed at an early exit. They had 10 points, 36th coming into this. But we've spoken about it multiple times. When it's match point, you have a lot of opportunities to get yourself back into the tournament, and that could have well lifted them way up into the middle of the pack.
Well, let's hopefully they had the eliminations to make it work. But you hear T laughing in the comms as they take the map, and I can't take this serious. If I'm seeing this squad all try to peek a head peek or something, I'm seeing these stupid little googly eyes looking at me, I'm losing full. The fact that they just came out on top, though, is fantastic. So good job from them. I'll have to wait and see, though, Enigma, how many points did they have to be able to get that? I'm seeing it in chat from Patty OK. Apparently, Juki's team exited that game with 27 kills in 8.
Oh.
So 1.6 times multiplier for them. That's definitely going to help them on the leaderboard as well.
Yeah, absolutely, because they were having a quiet afternoon as well. They were one of the sides that we brought up at one point. So I think it will lift them out of the mid-pack more towards the conversation, potentially to around where that shelf is, where there's a bit of a drop-off. So we'll get a look at that at some point, no doubt, for sure. I think when we saw them pick off Biffle and Co, I think that sometimes with Juki's Len and FIFA, you can kind of tell how their game's going by how they're willing to challenge certain teams or not. I think Juki's is willing to challenge literally anything. However, with Len and FIFA Kill, I think that sometimes you can see that if they're having a difficult game, if they're not necessarily in a strong position, they're happy to rotate away and let the fighting happen elsewhere. However, they took on Biffle, Shifty, Soka there, get the initial 2 knocks. It's only from a moment of brilliance, really, from Biffle that stops that being a clean sweep, and Lennon does just enough to trade it on out. I am curious about how the last of that fight went on down, I'll be honest with you. Did Lennon do enough? Because when we were cycling through the teams towards the end, as we got down to like our final 5 or so, I did notice that the SSD squad were missing, so it all fell apart from them. But who it didn't fall apart for, Team T, they come out 11 kills. Not the banger that you necessarily want, but still 22 points. That lifts them potentially towards the mid-table.
Hey, that's the start of it, right? You got Echo leading the pack with 6, Lovey behind with 3, and then T not too far behind them with 2. So, yeah, I mean, you came into that. I mean, they literally tripled their points, which I feel like is feeling pretty solid, right? Like, if you're at least coming into this. So you're under that 32 point. You are a fifth of the way to our Call of Duty Warzone match point. Now, we will ignore that there's probably some teams that are almost across the 100-point threshold. But, hey, it's okay. You're getting there. It's a different speed for different teams, man. It's okay. You'll get there, hopefully, eventually, before one of these squads ends the tournament, before you can cross maybe the halfway point. I don't know. But either way, fantastic. Don't want to take anything away from them. Being able to triple your points in a game, it's a great feeling either way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, we spend a lot of the conversation, obviously, talking about who's going to come out on top when we get towards match point. There's prize money here up to 3rd. So, you're still chasing after that 3rd place spot. If you feel like you're not in the conversation when it comes to match point, you still want that $1,000 there. And that doubles up to 2 if you're in 2nd. So, yes, a lot to play for still. And, I mean, you and me have been there. All these competitors have been there. Sometimes, you have a struggle, but then you have a moment where you see things through and it makes you a better side from that point on. So, yeah, that could well and truly be a momentum builder for them, lift them in. T, of course, making it through to the World Series finals, no doubt riding on a high. There's a lot of quality in that lineup. They should be doing better, and that could well start them to where we expect them to be.
We'd definitely love to see that. When it comes to some of our top teams, though, I'll also have some questions, right? I mean, we didn't really see much from Omit NA in that game. They were currently sitting at like 3rd or 4th. Obviously, I'll be curious to see how many eliminations did Team Falcons, aka Team Biffle, were they able to take down, right? Reminder, they were on 80 points going into that game, already over halfway through. We were saying, hey, they have the potential here to cross over our threshold within 4 games. If they win that 5th game, it could be a different question. But lately, let's talk about this a little bit while we get ready to look at our leaderboard here in our hot second. Seems like lately that maybe this Team Falcon squad is doing a great job of getting to match point, still struggling a little bit to close it out when they do get there, even if they are one of those teams early on.
Yeah, I think that although they are still coming out on top in a lot of scenarios, it does feel like that grip that they had has slipped, right? That iron fist that they had on the match point threshold is no longer there, right? Like, it felt like if they didn't take it in the first map where they had match point, they took it by the second, and people were just about catching them up at that point. However, now it seems to be like, oh, well, maybe a third, and all of a sudden it seems that there's a couple more teams that are happy getting involved in the mix of things. I think as well, one of the things is, and we saw this in recent tournaments for sure, I think when other squads are spotting that certain teams are on match point, they're full sending them. It's no longer a case of, oh, well, that's, you know, Biffle and co. I don't want to fight them. That is, we have to eliminate them now if we want our tournament to continue. So we've seen a bit more of that. I think that, again, the whole scene is leveling up, evolving. And I think as these squads get better, they're feeling much more comfortable taking on your Falcons, taking those fights and ensuring that their tournament prospers, not just trying to avoid the big dog and just hope that they do all right at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think we're seeing teams do feel, like you said, feel a little bit more confident in trying to take them on. And when you have that happening, it's really tough to close out games that is there as well. So we'll have to see where they sit after that game. A couple other squads I'll be curious to see. C9, you know, they haven't really done anything much today, but they seem to be putting themselves in a solid position. Juki's in them, obviously, if we're hearing that they had 27 eliminations in 8th place, with that 1.6 times multiplier, that's going to feel really good for them. I would not be surprised to see them kind of creep in within our top 5 off of that as well. So a couple big games here after a what we thought was a slow sort of game number 2. Game number 3 seems to be action-packed all the way. Let's talk a little bit about that end game, because it does kind of pull out towards Superstore, and that is something that we really haven't, you know, we're kind of still just getting used to, right, Enigma? Is that when we see this zone pull over towards Superstore, how do you want to play it? We see the Team Falcons and Juki's in them are able to play the roof and be able to hold that on down. A couple other teams opting to stay inside. Being told our leaderboards are just about ready. So walk me through kind of how you think that Superstore kind of impacted that end game.
It's interesting at the minute because when obviously you, me, and everyone else talks about Superstore, we're thinking back to that Verdansk layout. The thing is about that, it had a considerably wider open space around it, massive car park. Every area around it was very flat, if you remember, until you started to push over towards maybe Storage or Boneyard. However, on this map, you actually have like a hilled ridge in behind it. You have a couple of smaller buildings tucked down below. You have yourself that river, of course, that runs beneath it. So watching these teams try and break it on down, rooftop is still the best place to be for sure. But there are opportunities for squads to kind of like slip under the radar and get themselves into Superstore and turn it into more of a layer cake fight. So I don't think it's a very easy spot to hold at all. Going to be interesting to watch how not only that changes endgame metas, but also opening metas when we start to talk about our competitive drops and whatnot. But yeah, right now, I think the squads are still trying to figure things out. Every time I've seen the Falcons, though, and they're usually the trendsetters when it comes to anything new, they're trying to fight for the rooftop. They want to look out over the rest of the land.
Well, let's see. How did that work out for me? Being told our leaderboards already. Let's hop on in. Let's see how the things are looking after that game number 3. Kicking it off with our overall individual elimination leaderboard. Well, still the same situation. Shifty on top with 26. And, well, the two teammates, Soka currently sitting at 8th and with 15. And, well, finally, Biffle, 6. There he is. I'm pretty sure I saw Biffle on here. Biffle in 6th with 20. So all 3 of them up here towards the top. But we're seeing some newcomers enter on into this overall individual elimination board. Well, I'm seeing Resolve with 23. And, well, a little bit of a happy dance here. Juki's in 5th with 21. And teammate Lennon in 9th with 15. So already feeling pretty solid after this list.
Yeah, it makes me wonder exactly how that 27 kill game went on down, because Juki's wasn't really a part of the conversation until just now. Neither was Lennon, but to see them both lifted in, they absolutely fried for sure. And that is something that we've seen since their improvements in competitive play throughout this year. Juki's and Lennon really stepped up on the slaying, and FIFA Kill has become much more that IGL role player where he just sits back, essentially anchors the team in. So I think it's no surprise to see the likes of Juki's and Lennon putting numbers up on the individual leaderboard here when it comes to kills. I guess the one thing that we've just got to ask of them is get themselves to an end game, right? Take those huge amount of kills and see those final points be multiplied through the multiplier.
Well, here we go. Our leaderboard after match number 3. Team Biffle sitting on top with 101.4, crossing on over finally into the triple digits. Our first team to do so, but look at the pack that we have kind of behind them. Swag 67.4, Panda 66.6. You might want to add an extra point there. Production or something. That's making it feel a little bit spicy. Team FIFA 66.4. Obviously a huge game for them. Team Skullface dropping down from 2nd to 5th, 65.2. But I mean, just look at the point differential though. Basically between 2nd and 8th, it really isn't that much when it comes to like our games here, right? 2nd through 3rd, still very much up in the air.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, of course, the SSD are leading. Let's face it, that is something that I feel like I've said so many times over the last year. It will no doubt be what we're talking about for a lot longer yet. But yeah, I mean, we only get payout here for top 3. Obviously, a lot of teams are chasing as well to try and get onto match point as well. But for now, those teams in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all around that region, very close. Some of them at this point would be missing out on payout by 0.2 points. So extremely tight. But it's time to separate some of those squads as we drop into match 4.
Let's go ahead and see. Kick it off with Team T. What are they doing? It looks like it is going to be like this little downtown area for sure. So seeing them kind of play around here. The leaderboard showcasing that it's still anybody's game when it comes down onto it. I mean, obviously you have the Falcons with a sizable lead over the rest of the lobby, but after that, it is going to be a feeding frenzy. So we'll have to wait and see. A couple of these squads, I think, maybe can realize as long as they keep playing consistent, they keep playing good, they could find themselves in the money when it comes to the end of this game. Or even if you are, you know, let's it was a 20-point game for SSD in that last one. I mean, if they only have a 20-point game, maybe somebody else has a 40 or 50-pointer. Hey, you now put yourself in contention.
One of the hilarious things that I was about to bring up is actually that Falcons' last game had 15 kills, finished in 11th, and picked up 21 kills. 21 points. So that was a relatively underwhelming map from them, and they still picked up enough points that realistically, if they just go and repeat that, they're putting themselves up there towards win condition. It's such a ridiculous trio. Anyway, to try and give flowers to someone else, enkeo, Lovey, and T coming out on top in map 3 has lifted them out of the 30th range and up towards 17th. They're involved in the middle of the pack, and although if you're looking at yourself at 17th, you can feel like you're quite a long way away. If you essentially repeat last map, you start to put yourself much closer towards the money here, because remember, teams sat in 2nd and 3rd. They're sat on only the mid-60s, so if you can just repeat up on that last game, you've got yourself into the conversation.
Bridge right here next to us if you want to try to get a UAV first, but...
No, we already did that. So you got it.
They're hitting crate underneath.
It's a little bit of a... Earlier, this is something that we see. It's kind of wild because enkeo does this a lot, right? He loves this building. They'll kind of loot up down below, get a UAV, figure out where they want to go on the map. You can kind of pop it. Knows that there's people who like to play at some of these buildings below, and you're seeing the triple live ping immediately come out. They know that somebody is across the way, so maybe you don't want to make your way over there, and you figure out where else on the map you want to start moving.
Energetic comms that came through for a moment, but nothing given. Killers Kitty, E700, Fonzie.
Someone just. Oh, I'm getting beamed from
Currently sat in 12th place. KK says that she's taking a couple of bullets, so she's going to head on down.
Did someone do that around here?
Is it the Opera House? Where's she getting shot from? No, she's just... Oh, yeah, it's going to be Hotel. She's got herself a bunker buster, potentially going to use that to just give her 2 teammates a free rotation in, and... Actually, maybe the call out comes on through that she doesn't need to use it, but E700 gets caught, and sometimes you look back at those moments and wish you'd picked that opportunity to bring in the bunker buster. However, there might be a res come on through. E700 there does manage to get on up. How safe are you, however? Have you been pushed? No, safe enough. Fonzie's there for the cover. KK, I like the reposition because she's here to at least be a distraction, if anything. Takes a couple of bullets, backs on off, but escape with E700's life still intact.
KK keeps trying to be able to hop up here. Find some great shots on a player below. You get the armor crack. No knock, though. You're hearing some of the comms of where should they go. It looks like maybe a wide wrap right. Couple of tags coming in on it, KK. Not too much here, but Lovey giving some of the comms of where they want to try and rotate on through. They do have a loadout that drops in front of them. Will be in zone for a hot minute. They already have it, though. Don't need to be able to make their way on over and pick that up just yet, but it's there for a regain.
I will say, sometimes I look at teams that are already up against the gas this early. If you're not one of the bigger fish in the pond, I think it's such a difficult place to put yourself in. You're asking yourself to rotate at pace. What? Oh, we come into Lennon. Apparently he's absolutely just fried. Kills Slide, finishes off B-Mark as well. And that, when you hear Lennon popping off like that, you know something magic's just happened. And after the back of that last game where they pick up, what was it, 27? Yes, they fall early, but might be just frying at the minute. And this again, see, as soon as I start talking nice about them, as soon as I say that they're doing something good, every damn time.
Yeah, we might need you to just stop talking. It might be the thing there. So we move on back over to SSD. Looks like they already have one elimination. That was Panda who was waiting on top. So at least Panda finding one. You gotta wonder, did maybe their little fight at Bazaar against Aydan, Z-Smith, and DJ Moss, it did not go their way, so they gotta have to reposition it Super. I don't hate that idea, right? Maybe using Super as like a late rotate, kind of make your way in. My only worry is that if you have a team like FIFA Kill Jukis and Lennon, who's landing at Superstore and making it their home, it's gonna be really hard to make that happen.
No, you're not wrong. Exactly. Kind of high risk, high reward strategy that I respect when it comes to the top teams that like to slay on out and put up big numbers. It is one that always concerns me when you're not one of those squads. And I hold that bar quite highly as well. There's some really good teams that I just don't expect to play that play style purely because of how difficult it is. However, Soka, Biffle, Shifty, they've moved north of their pop-off power landing spot. They're part of Industrial now. Counter UAV goes out on over the top. Players are ghosted anyway, so gotta assume that right now SSD feel like there's a lot of company and they just want to make sure they're not risking getting third-partied at all. Soka hears noise. Soka takes damage. Soka smokes his way on out. Can't hear footsteps, though. You're gonna have to get himself up and over the fence. And actually, as he checks on out, there's gonna be a player there. He's actually slipped yet another, potentially over Charles. And the fact that he checks on by, honestly, it's almost too cute. Fnatic will find him, and that will leave Biffle and Shifty split.
Yeah, good job from Fnatic to not let just a little bit of the dance there kind of throw them on out. Soka thinks he gets away with his life, but it's just not able to keep alive. So tries to make it happen. Thermite though onto this vehicle. Okay. Quick thinking from Nano. You're able to get the down, and that's on Jukies. The double Thermite on the LTV on the drive-by. Some patience coming out huge from them.
My guy. I mean, you don't see that very often. And of course, it's going to be onto Jukies. Feels bad, man. Every time I talk about them as doing something nice. But moving on. Nano, Ericsson. In a very awkward spot. You try and rotate on out of here. We know that there's potentially players over the other side towards Popov that could just be holding the bridge, holding the water. However, you could also have players playing around the bathhouses just south of you. So everywhere you try and push out from here is difficult. I like the use of the ammo box to give them more smokes. And actually, it looks like they might just get out for free. I can't believe, quite frankly, that they're making these kind of moves happen. Ericsson's just going to continue pinging up above. I got to be honest, no, that is one of the most brazen step out, grab loops, and come back that I think I've ever seen.
Just nobody's looking at this. Just zero eyes on this bridge for right now. And, you know, I kind of like it. You make the step out. They kind of gain some info. Really, nobody's looking at us if we want to try and make this. And, well, you're able to fly across at least to the other side. You see a fly in on a player. But for right now, just kind of hang on out. You got the zip maybe above if you want it. You can spot a team behind you. So I guess right now, if you're able to play ahead, maybe hit this fire sale. You can get your teammate back on in. But there's a bunker buster on top of this building. Thermite's going back in again, and that's another down. You're feeling good. Ericsson, though, will take a lot of damage. He'll get taken on out by Panda. Panda has made their way around this map to so many different locations.
Yeah, he has, but Nano there. I mean, I was speaking a moment ago about how brazen his team were on the movement, and well, it's going to come back to bite them in the end. It's difficult rotation. Comes up now against Funzy. Going to push on forward. Slips through the middle. Superior in hand. Recently nerfed, of course, but still likely going to be useful here, and checks away at the wrong time. Funzy comes out on top. Funzy will come back in. And a beautiful transition there by production. We go into Careless Kitty and E700. Funzy's teammates, and they're in trouble here, trying to rotate still up against the gas. Kitty actually drowns. That's a tough one on main stage too. Damn.
Wow. Not something we see often, but unfortunate situation. Back on over. FBcracked, Lennon, and Jukies. They had a monster game number 3. Looking to go back-to-back here. Maybe find themselves top of the leaderboard if they can do it. We saw Jukies get taken out from an LTV earlier by a double thermite, but looks like a solid regain has happened already. They've made their way towards this tense area, looking down at apartments, looking for anybody who's trying to be able to rotate back on up. They can kind of see they're spreading on out here, Enigma, trying to just kind of create a little bit of a formation here. Maybe you can catch some of these people moving up from pop-off.
Yeah, and I like the comms coming in from Lennon in the back there as well. He's talking about players getting third-partied potentially, or at least already in a fight so that they can third-party it. More great comms out of Lennon. FBcracked nearly overstepped there. Manages to just duck in behind the rock coverage. We check on down to one of those sides just below FBcracked and Co. Look at all the red pings coming on out. This team have done their fair share of marking. Twitty, Tapper, Sway. Twitty's trying to push forward. Will need to slip in the plates. Has the Car 98 in hand, but right now, hunkered down here. Honestly, if you hit that, I would be absolutely astounded. Twitty wanted to world star. Might have to back off, though, because Sway has been picked up by Almond. Fnatic are involved in this fight. And yes, you 2v3 against Fnatic, you find a different route out of here. I like this reposition. Give Sway a moment as well to try and play his gulag out. And just hold your life for a moment.
There you go. Sway against Colony 2K in the gulag. We'll be able to fly back on in. Hopefully can stay up. Maybe give them some comms on where some of these teams are sitting. You are Twitty. I mean, a Car 98 in hand. You can open up one of these fights very quickly, allowing Sway to come back on in. But for now, I think you just kind of try and hold on out. 3 eliminations to his name. Maybe trying to just kind of play here a little bit. Here's my worry, Enigma. You've made your presence known. A team knows you're over here. You have a player who's trying to be able to play from behind, right? What do you do here? You have a team to your right. You have a team above you. And it looks like there's a team to your left. This wrap out of here is going to be very, very tough. It does look like Sway, though, able to drop back on in, land on his loot. So at least that's part of the regain.
No, I think that this is a horrible rotation to have to make because zone pulls so far away from you is forcing you uphill. Because that bounty, you know that aydan and Co might have eyes on you. 2 smokes have been used already. These boys are just going to have to try and daisy chain their way on up. They look like they have quite a bit of loot between them, so they might be fine. I can't believe... I'm not going to say it too early. I'm not going to curse them. I'm not going to say they've gotten away with this. Somehow making this rotation work. A moment ago, there was about 6 teams here. Never mind. That's the moment that we were waiting for. Tapper gets caught trying to cross on over. Twitty takes a lot of damage as well, so he has to back on off. That's natedogg, who then picks one up. Sway as well is found, and Twitty is just going to have to play a recovery game.
Yeah, I was going to say, the one thing I was worried about, remember, just a few moments ago, we saw FBcracked, Lukey's, and Jenin. Wow, Jukies and Lennon. Sorry, I'm thinking too fast because they were up here and they were holding it down. So we know that natedogg and Destroy and Rahul are nearby. We know that FBcracked and Co are nearby. And now Twitty has been able to try to make their way on up, but a thermite is going to have to bring them on up. That's Almond actually taking down Twitty as well. So that's another third party in here. Tense is hopping.
Honestly,
Could have gone lower. Could have crept lower.
I am amazed that they even made it that far up the hill.
Yeah.
Considering how many teams we saw here. You just listed off some of the biggest names that we have in Warzone all around this area.
Okay. Another kid, another floater,
And trying to pluck a couple of players out of the sky. His STG is potentially not built for plucking these players out of the sky. He's right. Well, he will get a crack, and the players just decide to team up together. And those ones are frustrating. We've all been there, right? We've all had those where it's just one more bullet, just a bit of flesh. But the opposing player survives. Twitty up against Lennon. Sorry, Jenin. Is he trying? Actually, it just takes all the damage. Just Twitty from the nade. Cooks his for a very long time. Puts it on out. Lennon will survive. Twitty. Gonna have to push the rope. We've seen more than a few players sneak on out here. Twitty does have the angle. Core in hand, I believe. Maybe the Horus. Breathe.
You gotta make something happen here. And that's just unfortunate. I mean... Hey, the reality of it, your mouse and key, it is pretty tough to make that happen, especially when you have a player that is as talented as Lennon, just kind of be able to slide on out with something like that Horus. Tough time. Back on over to NA, though. They were top of the leaderboard earlier on in the day, have slid back just a little bit, currently sitting in 7th place. On the outside, looking in 59.4 points, but as we come on over, Youngsters is currently sitting on 5, so... Not too bad of a game already here.
These kids aren't looking.
Honestly, considering the rotation that they have to make here, there's a lot of land, there's a lot of teams around. I think we tune in for a listening. I think we listen into what NA do here and how they approach this.
Three in here watching that other team. I have one muni.
I have nothing. I have a trophy, bro, for top. I'm coming.
Hey, these guys are rotating out.
One's rotating left. He's not. He's at the door. He's just at the door. Knock. Dead.
Okay. We're good right here.
They're fighting right here. They're fighting on the roof. They're fighting on the roof.
Kid landed in left somewhere too. I'm looking at. I gotta watch the buy, bro. We just gotta watch the buy. We can't let these kids get back up.
Here. Hold out. Winning. I'm playing this. I'm playing this.
I'm trying to win. Brax,
Dead. I'm dead.
Nice, good job.
Coming back. Y'all might see for the buy, bro.
Okay, we're good. There's only two in here. Only two in
I see
here.
for the buy.
Okay. I have a muni prep top.
I see for the fucking buy, bro.
Alright.
A little bit of an aggressive play there from youngsters to fly on forward and get a squad wipe on Fnatic. If you are Fnatic, we saw them kind of start the day feeling pretty solid, but seems like maybe now they've just had a little bit of a lackluster situation. Youngsters cutting them on down as well. They find themselves center zone here, and they're starting to see teams try and make their way on in, but some good shots will hopefully stop them in their paces. I'm seeing youngsters on 6. I believe some of the other teammates are on 3 and 2 respectively. So solid game so far, and they find FIFA kill. Okay.
Wonderful spot here, center zone, able to just track so many teams that are rotating on down. I mean, honestly, 11 Resort can be a difficult area to play around at times, but only NA are making it work for them. Had a great first 2 games. They were involved in the money conversation for sure. They slipped to 8th off the back of last game where they end up coming 16th. But they're already beating that as they slip inside the top 15. Juju will fall, but because of this great positioning, that's just essentially burning through plates. You'll be more than happy with that. Juju back on up. Youngsters checking on over again. We rotate on over to one of our other big squads in this. Aydan, DJ Mas Smith. Doesn't feel like they've fully come online yet, but definitely a team that can make that happen at any moment.
I mean, they're currently sitting at 12th with 46.2 points. Not the best to be able to have, but we know that this squad loves getting their eliminations, and I think all it's going to take is one win for them to really kind of put themselves into the conversation. We're seeing Aydan currently sitting on 7. This could be the start of it. Drone coming on out should hopefully give them some of the comms they need to make this wrap. Aydan will be the one. Tip of the spear moving on forward. Is this building here allowed? The smoke's coming on through. I like this. Maybe push on forward a little bit. But for now, they've found their way into zone.
Low key, like low ground would be good here. If somehow we could do it without like under.
Loving the comms there that come on through. What I will say, Aydan believes that low ground would be great because you would be able to slip on under this wall. Let's hope that he's done the math and the angles are correct, because, well, I was going to say, as soon as you decide to take low ground, you could be in trouble, but actually a player from low ground absolutely beams Aydan, then beams DJ Mas as well. It's going to be T and Co. Smith finds T, the winners of map 3 here, trying to upset one of our big squads. Smith's in so much trouble. DJ Mas surely falls. Smith hangs on by a thread, but, well, Juju coming in from the back. Only NA looking to put in some work here.
Definitely a third-party situation. As long as you have the smokes, though, can Smith get this res off? Looks like he will be able to. Unfortunate if you are a DJ, and they are just short onto cash. Did DJ have any money on his body that they might be able to grab? I'm not entirely sure, but for now, it will become a 2-man sort of fight. Aydan and Z-Smith playing on top of each other. Somebody peeks from above. C4 up over the top. Won't manage to connect. Resolute coming on in. Aydan trying to weave his way in and out of it. You're able to have the plates, and him and Smith will take a moment, but Smitty playing in the gas. There's an LTV out in the gas. You see them pinging. That could be a play here to try and get to that mobile buy station. Is that the move right now? I'm not entirely sure. They have a PDS, and it looks like a moment of respite for them as they try and regain.
One of those moments where the seen how the Falcons do it and decided, well, can we do it as well? Minks is going to be backed off by a bunker buster. And speaking of the Falcons, of course they are here into our top 8. Soka is anchoring from deep using the PDS. Also has a redeployable balloon if he so wishes. Eventually starts taking ticks from the gas. So going to push on up forward, try and join up with his teammates. Shifty and Biffle. The zone pulls towards them, which means so many players are going to have to cross underneath them. We are into top 6. One more squad to get yourself onto that 1.8 times. And no doubt they have a bunch of kills to boot. T, Lovey, Echo, our map 3 winners on your screen right now, but they're in a world of trouble. They have no plates, and what on earth was that play? E700 comes in from the top rope and is slammed.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those moments you're just trying to be able to make a play, stay alive, not realize there's a full 3-man just laying in wait down here. One more team needs to go down for the 1.8 multiplier to come on in. I know they'd love to see it, and there you go. 2 teams actually get eliminated. That'll put them into the top 4. Can they go back to back? Can they be able to make it on happen? I don't know if you can, because SSD was on top, but gabekun from down low. Shots are on point. We'll be able to rip that player on up. PDS is here. He's going to have to go wide. You have a smoke in hand. You have some remnants of a gas mask, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. You find Echo in the back, but you can't finish the kill. You get ripped on up, and look at this. Well, who's on 12? It is Shifty, who has been able just to fry the rest of this lobby. If they take this one, Enigma, we might have a team on Call of Duty Warzone match point. Another squad wipe. They are looking to fry, but might be a little bit too much too early.
I don't even know if they need the multiplier at this point with the amount of kills that's already on your screen. Shifty has 13, was already leading the way as individual kill player. It's now a 3v2. Whoever you're up against, blasting Koa out of here. I feel like I haven't seen T and Lovey and Code. They were in a difficult spot. Soka's screaming. Soka can see something. He needs his teammates to get on over. Shifty and Biffle are going to zip across. Can they help at all? Soka actually falls. Soka, though, will be brought back on in because, of course, and it is T and Co. Biffle finds T. Last player alive is Echo. Biffle, Shifty, Soka, your Falcons bring home yet another map. A long CV in front of them. They want that Dynasty title to boot. And here this afternoon, they are showing exactly why they are the best squad in the world.
They needed roughly 50 points in that game, and they might have done it, Enigma. I'm going to wait for our admin team to do the math on it, but either way, that was absolutely insane. That is kind of what they do, right? They rotate early, they get that power position, and they just start picking apart some of these teams. It felt like a blink of an eye. We went from 8 squads down to 4 out of nowhere, right? And I feel like this team is probably a large responsible reason for that. We just saw Shifty. It was that one final moment that I really liked. Throws down the PDS just to stay in gas a little bit more. And well, look at that, man. 29 eliminations. That'll get the 58 points and be our first team on Call of Duty Warzone match point. Shifty leading the pack at 13.
No, of course. I mean, at the end of the day, I was wondering if they were getting there just on the kills alone, considering Shifty had 13 at that point. But no, of course, double up on the multiplier, gets in that 58, puts them onto the 159.4. And honestly, obviously, we got to wait to see how the leaderboard comes about. But they could have like 3 or 4 games here where they are uncontested on match point because they are so far ahead of everyone else.
Whew, all right. I mean, when we kind of came into the day, you said you thought this was ending in 6. I said it was ending in 8. And, well, Team Falcon said, boys, what if we ended it in 5? What if we tried to do that and made that happen? Absolute insanity. I honestly thought after that game, I was like, okay, I think they'll be close, but I don't think they cross, right? I was thinking them to be around like 142, 143 after that. But, man, wow, 29 eliminations. That is definitely one way to do it. I think they would have even crossed it. Even if they had only got the 1.8, I think they would have been pretty close to it. They might have crossed it even just off of that. So wild game for them. And what's scary right now, Enigma, is if you're the rest of this lobby, you have one team that has now crossed the threshold. Your chances of being able to lock on up second and third to be able to be one of these other teams that takes home cash, your opportunity to do that is slipping. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at that leaderboard. We have one team that has crossed the threshold, but we want to see who else is just on the outside looking in, who's trying to be able to also be one of those teams in the money. So don't go anywhere. We'll have plenty more Warzone coming your way when we come back.
should be
You
weak.
don't have a sub. He's right there live. He's going down. Going down to the arches.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice. That was
Yeah.
fucking 8. Knock the second kid. Other kid landed right and bought back. He bought back on the buy. Yeah. Yep. D's gonna go back for a sleep probably. Okay. Heard. Yeah, heard. Weak. 1 dead. Okay.
Está bien, estoy aquí.
No push it.
Póngalo. Se tiró pie. Ya lo maté.
Cuidado con el otro equipo. Tienes que pasar por los dos.
Take that door if you want.
Oh, they have like headies right here.
Almost knocked one.
20, knocked one.
I cracked another one. Knocked the other one. The other one's deeper, not knocked.
Okay.
Deeper is not knocked.
Silence kid.
You ran out to the right.
Hey, one. He's
Knocked.
Yeah,
I'm
portable. You
playing
should
for that
throw the portable. You should try to throw the portable.
Yeah, okay.
Keep it smoked out. Can you swing it out?
Yeah, you got your full. Smoked it?
You guys. It's on the left side a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a bad PA.
Waiting for that portable to land. I have no more smokes, by the way.
I don't either.
One landed already.
I got sniped in the back. He used double res.
Yeah, bleed up.
Trying. So the man to go low and kill the got the loot that we did. Jump off. Can you just go with the road and kill those kids?
Knock two on him. I know, I'm probably dead. Yeah.
Guy laying down right here. Here, money right here.
You can land high, don't get.
I'm dead. One in the storm.
Nice.
Oh, wall PDS still.
Hey, died, another one.
Dead. Coming full.
Tem um blindado vindo pra mim, viado. Donei, tá?
É ação.
Eu acho que sim.
One's rotating left. He's at the door. He's just at the door. Knock. Dead. Hold on, winning. I'm playing this. Dead, I'm dead.
He's dead.
On above us.
Right here, on me.
Down. I'm plating.
Go right. Kill it for me.
Any PDS there?
They're coming.
I gotta get it. I'm good. He got me. Right here. Lay down in the water.
Knock.
Yeah.
Rain rot. Crack him. One more. Get the fuck out of here.
Call it a gold split because we have one team speedrunning their way to ending this tournament. Team Falcons, Soka, Shifty, and Biffle have made their way to be the first team on Call of Duty Warzone match point after 4 games alone. Potentially looking to close it out here in game number 5. Will they do it? We'll have to wait and see. I'm Dandro. That's Enigma, and welcome back to Call of Duty Warzone Total Frenzy. Let's take a look at our overall kill leaderboard here, Enigma, as we get ready to kind of break down all of the action, because we could be finishing this tournament right here, right now. So we take a look at this, break it down for me. What's some of the movement we're seeing?
I mean, Biffle's jumped up to 3rd. Shifty's running away with it with 39 in top spot. Soka sits in 6th with 23. Of course, the Falcons are leading the way. I said this to you in the break. I'm struggling to keep up with different ways to describe how just damn good they are at this point. So I'm going to talk about someone else for a moment. Youngsters jumping up to 2nd here for Omit NA. Resolve slips very slightly to 25th. Jukies and Lennon still appearing here. Bubble also in here. I believe we get a slight change that actually sees Soka hop up to 5th. Agent 6th. Juki 7th. Lennon 8th. And Aydan actually makes his way into the top 10.
We love to see a Shifty on 39 is kind of wild. Like, let's be very, very clear here. I mean, we're seeing like a grouping of like, you know, 20s, okay, early 20s, some mid 20s, and it's like, yeah, Shifty's on 39. This boy just be shooting. This is kind of the thing that he said. He wanted to be unleashed from the IGL role because he knew his gun skill was too good to be held back like that. Well, let's take a look at the overall team leaderboard to see how does that impact this, because as we come on over, all right, well, we got one squad that has crossed the mark, and well, half of their points literally is Omit NA in 2nd with 80.2. Not only are they so dominant, Enigma, that they are the first team to cross in 4 games, they are literally double the points of the next team. This is insane. But enough about them. Let's talk about these teams in 2nd through 5th, basically, kind of all still vying for it. Because reminder, folks, if the Team Biffle is able to win this game 5, the rest of the leaderboard freezes. So it is still game on for any of these squads to be able to take home 2nd and 3rd. Yeah. And right now, I'm looking at basically 2nd through 7th is in the running for the money.
Yeah, exactly. It is $2,000 for 2nd place, $1,000 for 3rd, so still plenty to play for. And I think that is a nice thing, right? We get to tune in with Biffle and Co. and see where they end up. Do they close it out here? But there's also a really nice fight going on. And honestly, a lot of these teams that are in that like 2nd to 10th bubble, they're squads that can definitely put up like 20, 30-point games. So I think that we've got ourselves a hell of a fight to kind of keep an eye on here. Seeing FIFA jump up into 3rd place is great if you're looking for EMEA representation, but other than that, there is huge names throughout this board. Braxton, you got then Panda, which provides us with LATAM representation as well in this fight. And again, I think that every other team in this is looking for reps in a lobby of this quality. We have star-studded lineups here. I mean, Team Unrational was just underneath them. That was the squad that I brought up at the very start. So all of these sides still with plenty to play for sure. This one's far from over, even for the Falcons might be ready to tuck us into bed at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the reality, right? Even if they don't close it here, Team Falcons probably have, what, I don't know, 3 games that they can kind of try and get 3 different shots at this. When you have more than double the points in a 2nd, that is just absolutely wild. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's take a look at a bit of the leaderboard, rather. Sorry about that. For some of our mid-to-pack teams, maybe some of the teams that are at the bottom of the leaderboard, because we talked about the top. Okay, great. Heck yeah, but let's look at some of our teams. I'm looking at Team 14, Team T, right? They won that game number 3. We saw them at the end of that last game, kind of causing some chaos for Team Aydan. Slowly but surely, Enigma, they're kind of finding their way into these end game scenarios, and all it takes is maybe another win with a couple more eliminations that they'll be feeling good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Honestly, I'm looking through this whole mid-pack. There's so many teams here that could just... We've seen them in the past, right? Have like 30, 40-point games. I'm looking at teams like Enkeo, teams like Wars, Breadman, currently down there in 22nd. All of these sides are not necessarily out of the money conversation, because you're right about Team Biffle. They likely have multiple bites here. I'm not doing the cherry thing. They likely have multiple opportunities to run at this. So let's say they don't do it here. Again, these other squads have definitely got opportunities to make large leaps up. And because of how tight it is between pretty much everyone else, I mean, there is... I'm just going to try and very quickly do the maths here. Yes, I'm correct. There is nearly 80 points between Biffle and Braxton. Between every single other team, there is less than 50. So 100% opportunities for teams to make big climbs and get involved in that prize money conversation.
I'm really curious. Let's go to look at the bottom kind of teams here, because yeah, you mentioned it. There's 80 points between Biffle and Braxton. What is the difference between Braxton and 80 points lower? Well, okay, so there's a bigger gap between the Falcons and second place Team Braxton than there is between Team Braxton and literally the rest of the lobby. Team Holly, they're struggling a little bit. I love you, Holly. Just not a great day for the squad here, sitting at 8.2, but still less of a gap between second place and last place than there is between first and second. And that is just a little wild to me when we kind of think about that. So, Mona, also looking at that right side here, and we have a couple squads that we saw earlier on today. We're having a lot of success. We were seeing signs of life. They were doing great, but it seems here going into map number 5, it's been a fall from grace. I'm looking at Team Rated, Team Breadman, Team Superevan. Like these are Team Destroy. We even seen Team Destroy winning fights against some of these top teams, and still, yet again, currently sitting in 25th.
I mean, one of the other squads as well that I'm kind of paying attention to is Team Mirai, right? They were up in the prize money early on in the tournament and then have just slipped down out of the conversation. Again, the gap is about 21 points between second and themselves. So yes, you could have a banger and just make things happen and put yourself back up in that. But I mean, I'm trying to bring up the data right now about, you know, how Mirai's tournament's gone. And you look at, like, you know, Game 3, 19th place with 5 kills. Game 4, 24th place, 12 kills. So it seems like, you know, for example, with Team Mirai, maybe they're getting too many kills early on. I know that that's a weird kind of sentence to come out of my mouth, but it's too high risk to your reward kind of thing. But then some of these other squads that we're seeing make it on through to the late stages of a lot of maps, for example, Team T, they're not picking up enough kills despite winning a map and being in their second place for the 4th map that we just had. So I think that we've got a whole range of issues going on between various squads. Some of these teams, for example, I'm looking at Team Pentagon, they do a great job of building themselves into tournaments, assessing as they go, okay, this is how we change things and get better from this point on. And I think a lot of the squads are going to have to do the exact same here if they want to be a part of the money conversation, because although there's only a small amount of points between a lot of the teams that we just discussed, you've still got to find your way past those very teams out there on the map.
That is a really, really, really good point. I think the fact that we have some of these squads just getting hyper aggro early on, it's finding them getting cut down a little bit too early, even though they're feeling good. Well, for some of our other teams, though, getting aggro early on is what is being their success. I'm talking about my favorite Chester, that's Biffle. Shout out our man in chat, Mikey the Bold, for thinking that team for Biffle is his favorite Chester that is there. So we'll have to wait and see, though. Can they be able to close it on? It's funny. It's just read chat. You'll figure it out. It's okay. It's a little inside joke between me and chat. All right.
Okay.
One, in the chat if you think that was hilarious. 2, if you think I'm off my rocker. That's all that matters. We got one squad ready to go in and reset that lobby. Don't worry, folks. We're hopping into game number 5 here ASAP on the rock. All right. So I'm ready to kind of lock in. Okay. Here's the thing, Enigma. We saw Almond early on when he hit the loadout, had a specific loadout for match point. Let's talk about if you are Team Biffle. You're coming into this lobby. You're trying to lock it on up. You're trying to be able to get the dub. You want to end this tournament in 5. You have things to go do. What do? What's the strategy to try and win this? Is it change the way you've been playing your game? Or is it basically, hey, do what you've been doing. It's been working.
Well, I got the fortunate opportunity to interview Biffle not long ago and ask him exactly what kind of differences he makes. And honestly, he says that they stack up PDSs. They get themselves into the late zone by using a lot of contracts and so on. They try and make it as simple for them to get to the late zone as they can. But with Popov and the pocket that they have, that because no one else wants to contest them, basically no one else wants to fight them, so they have so much space, so much opportunity to loot and just pull all of that money together. They essentially just then find those recons, put themselves into end zone and stack PDSs, let everyone else duel it out. They still get involved in the kills. You still see them pick up a good amount because they're trying to help thin those numbers and dwindle things down. However, in so many situations, what they do is if the zone pulls away from them, they use a PDS to give themselves an opportunity to essentially come in through the back, find a different route in. They buy themselves that all valuable resource, which is time. However, zone pulls towards them, or even better yet, on the opposite side, they get in there nice and early. They dump themselves down an early PDS, and as other teams come in, they just cut them down like a firing squad. So I wouldn't expect any different out of our Falcons here. It's been a strategy that's been working, right?
Yeah, we've also seen them kind of also play this idea. I feel like it's been one or the other, right? It's either exactly what you described, right, where they are kind of trying to be able to play in the gas and make some of those plays where teams are just not expecting them to be laying in wait. Or one other thing I've seen them be able to do, they do those intel contracts pretty early on. They time it. So they get a pretty solid idea of where that end game zone is going to be. We see them bring LTVs. We see them bring trophy systems, everything they need to just set up shop in one area of the map. I know one of them was kind of towards that northeastern sign that we saw a couple weeks ago here as part of Warzone Total Frenzy, underneath one of those comms towers that was there. And they just had so much of the map at their back, right? It was all the out of bounds that they were just they set up LTVs as like, okay, these little mobile sort of covers that they were able to play, and the rest of the lobby had to filter on into them. And they kind of just played and wait. And as the rest of the lobby kind of came on up, they were just peeking out. They'd find a pick or two. They'd go back in. They weren't having to play super aggro. They weren't trying to get a lot of these squad wipes. They were just causing enough pressure that kind of let the rest of the lobby fight against each other. And that's what they're really good at doing, is like, we're going to position ourselves that you can't push up to us. You're all going to have to fight out together. And eventually it came down, they were able to kind of third party and win the game and win the entire tournament. So I feel like what we'll be able to see is a little bit of that, right? It's either going to be that gas play like you mentioned, or it's going to say, hey, if it's one of these zones that we can set up early on, we can feel good about our positioning and where we want to kind of force the rest of the lobby to come to us. Would not be surprised to see them do that either. So some rhetoric, we'll have to wait and see. Is that how they lock it on out? But if you are one of these other squads here, Enigma, this is do or die. Potentially last map of the tournament. Even if it's not this map, you know you only have 2, maybe 3 more maps to go for you to try and lock it on up. So if you are Braxton, FIFA, Panda, Unrational, this is the map you really have to kind of come online. This is your last opportunity to potentially put yourself in that money.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're someone like Team FIFA, for example, I feel like they're on the ascendancy right now. So you're feeling good about, you know, how this is looking. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they go on to take second at this point. Meanwhile, if you're some of the other sides involved in that conversation, you know, where we're talking about the fine split, again, I mentioned Team Mirai, who are on their way south at the minute, trickling down that leaderboard, then I think you're a little bit worried about how you flip things on their head. Honestly, if I'm one of those sides that's trying to chase, I think that you don't change too much about what you've been doing when you start talking in opening game. I think maybe you start to consider an earlier rotation into end game. Just consider that multiplier, because I mean, when we start talking like the 1.6, for example, for top 10, a handful of kills for a 1.6 could well be the difference maker between $2,000 and diddly squat with how small this gap is right now.
No, I love that you bring that up, because that is exactly what we're going to be looking for. It's going to come down to the wire. It always does when it comes to our second and third place teams, that it is always just within a handful of points. And when we get multipliers involved, that extra kill or 2 really matters a lot. So winning your gulags, super important. If you're kind of one of these teams who knows you're getting contested off drop, winning that contest is absolutely huge for you. I'm looking at like a team like Team Panda. We know they like landing Bazaar and contesting Team Aydan. That is just like known for a fact. We saw Panda in one of those earlier games. Basically, I think we saw him at like 3 different POIs on the map. Like we saw him at Bazaar, then we saw him at Superstore, then he was over by Pop-Off Power. It was like he was just making his way across the map trying to regain constantly. So I feel like winning those contests is going to be huge. If Panda can win that contest against Aydan, that could be the exact type of momentum that team needs to have a really solid game number 5, that even if we end here, could find themselves in the money, could be walking away potentially $2,000 richer as a squad.
It's interesting that you bring that up actually around Team Panda pushing out towards Bazaar, because yes, we know that Team Aydan tend to fight around there. They're currently down in 8th. However, another squad that likes to fight around there is Robstar and Co, that Team Blade lineup, and they've really been struggling throughout this. They're not even on this screen, and to be honest, you expect far better. So it's an interesting conversation at all times, especially when we start looking further down the line and we start talking about, you know, World Series and stuff like that, the finals, because all these squads currently that have come in for this, you know, whether it be through NA, EMEA, LATAM, other regions, you have your landing spot based on what the other people in your region have been doing, right? So if you're Robstar and Co, you're thinking, all right, well, we love Bazaar. We've been dominating that in the EMEA. You start fighting against those North America teams, or in this case, also a LATAM team, and you're getting bullied. You suddenly have to go, all right, we need to rethink our entire strategy when it comes to land, because right now we are not enjoying that drop.
No, that is so true, right? You're playing these tournaments, you think you could play the map a very specific way, you're feeling good about it. Next thing you know, you're getting contested by a team you didn't even, kind of know that would be in that same part of the area of the map as you are, and it completely throws your game plan out the window. But hey, Enigma, we've whapped for too long. We know that we are about to head into map number 5, so let's drop on in. This is the do or die moment. Will Team Falcons come out on top, end our tournament in 5, or will we be seeing those one more game emotes in the chat? Let's go ahead, drop on in alongside, well, your only team that has crossed Call of Duty Warzone match point, and your winners of game number 4, Team Falcons. Let's go ahead and see it.
What comms did we just come into?
Yeah, we're talking golf, apparently.
Okay,
You know?
all right. Glad that's the case. Gentlemen, you are on main stage. Okay. All right, Soka. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not tuned into a Soka stream, you are missing out. He is one hell of a point of view, one hell of a character. The match 4 winners coming in here. This is customary for Star Wars on Total Frenzy games. We pay attention to exactly where the top team from last time is going to land. Of course, it's going to be that pop-off power, most wanted picked up. That will then let them loot on up and bleed down that timer very quickly in that pocket of space we talk about that they established so early.
All right, chat, as we get ready to hop on into this, I want to hear it in chat. I asked it earlier, but let's do it again. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think Team Biffle is ending the event here in map number 5, or give me a 2. Do you think another team is winning this map and putting us on one more game? We want to see your predictions. Where are we going? I would love to go ahead and see that. So spam the chat. Let us know what you're thinking. I think I'm coming over here. I'm putting a 1 in the chat. I think they're doing it. What about you?
I am in a very warm room currently in the UK where we don't have air conditioning, so I'm also putting a 1 in chat.
Boo! You were supposed to put 2! You were supposed to put 2! You ruined it! Oh.
Hey, Mikey's gone too. Mikey's gone too, so we're good. We're good.
Yeah, he thinks Biffle's a Chester, dude. Of course Mikey the Bold is going to 2. Guy's lost in the sauce.
Audience predictions. I love this, by the way. I absolutely love getting our chat involved in this kind of stuff. So, I mean, right now, a lot of people think Team Biffle are coming on through, and I'm not surprised because, I mean, there was a time period when we were doing match point, right, where we started doing it first couple of tournaments, and they had like a 50% win rate on the first map of getting themselves onto match point. Already done 1 most wanted. In comes the second. They already have $33,000 between them, and I actually believe that they are missing a player.
No, I think that's just our overlays covering up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like,
Biffle.
All right, fair enough. Well,
can you imagine you accidentally dev error here on match point, right? Like, ooh, a little bit rough, but hey, it's a-okay. But we're getting our chat. Chat thinks Team Biffle is going to be ending it on here. Another team. Well, I literally think we saw a one person saying that we think it's someone else. So hey, Mikey the Bold, it's all on you. If somebody else wins, I'll shout you out. I'll stop roasting you here live on main. It's a-okay. We can see Shifty playing out here in the bunker. Now, this is something we didn't really talk about. Got to talk about Foresight.
Yeah, Foresight indeed. Could be everything that they want to give them that route into endgame nice and cleanly, as they've spoken about. Is their strategy, just get themselves through. And well, we spoke a little bit about Superstore earlier and how teams really want the roof of this in order to look out over the surrounding area, and we heard comms come on through there from Gabe. Let's take their height. Gabe's gonna just try and approach this. He's up behind flanks and they're pushing. The problem is Blast is taking damage elsewhere. Blast has fallen, so you're potentially in a 2v3 trying to squeeze up on this, but you 3-2-1'd it and you will get the kill. Lennon has been found, so where are Jukies and Thief?
Yeah, this is the one thing that we said, you know, if you are a team like Jukies, FIFA Kill, and Lennon, being able to take Superstore is huge, but you have to be able to win it. Having a team like this roll up on you and just be able to cut you down is really, really tough. You know somebody's playing that wall. I wouldn't be surprised maybe to see Gabe get a little aggressive, but as they're kind of trying to hop up this side, becoming a little bit rough of a situation here to find those eliminations. And well, from the left, okay, Jukies has been able to find an angle. Absolutely rips gabekun apart. Sends him right into the gulag, and well, you gotta fight Robstar.
Yeah, I'll come back to that because that's a misstep by Gabe for sure. Up against Robstar. Honestly, Robstar, with his competitive multiplayer experience, should be feeling pretty hot here in a gulag in a 1v1. Gabe cooks the nade, doesn't know which side to throw, gonna check it right, connects with nothing, pushes deep left, and Robstar, you can tell that they're having a bad tournament. I'm sorry, I know I came into that talking about Rob's multiplayer experience. He is genuinely an absolute gunny on the map. He truly is. You can tell that they have been struggling with the lack of confidence he approached that.
Hey, well, it's a little bit tougher. You're going against potential rookie of the year, Gabekun in the gulag. It was a good attempt, but Gabe just feeling a little bit too icy in the goo. We'll be able to get back on with the team. So we come on over to Team Destroy. You can see Raul's already been sent to the gulag as well. Good cash for natedogg and Destroy, as they maybe kind of start to figure out how do they want to play around this low town area.
I didn't think you heard me. I was saying where.
It was in the middle.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back down.
And here's some of the comms coming on through, and Raul unfortunately fully eliminated as well. Plenty of cash from the two though to get it back on in. You can see them rotating over here towards this firehouse buy. We've seen this be an area that a lot of people like to kind of find themselves. We've seen the Team Falcons take some fights over here. Fnatic take some fights over here. We've seen Destroy themselves over here. So little eye in the sky. Can they get the buy? And well, there's actually no buy over here this time. A little bit of a Season 5 spice coming in, Enigma.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it feels wrong, right? I'm so used to that by being there. It's one that I hit out myself very often. You're gonna have to cross on over the river, play out, and well, you can't because there's a team already on it. You don't necessarily want to push up on something 2v3, so you have to reconsider it. Or does that team peel away? It's a buy that comes on through, so maybe you're pushing a weakened team. The thing is, if you see one flare go up there and you're in a 2v2, you're still not sure because you've got to be the aggressor. You see two flares come out, you 100% push that. But wise from Destroy to surveil it. Aydan, DJ Mars Smith, they're in a difficult spot here. This whole landmass is awful, in my opinion. You got the palace just north to you where you can be shot from the rooftops, and then anything open on the banks on this map is a nightmare.
You see some of those smokes coming on across. I think if you're a squad that can kind of look at those banks like you mentioned and just kind of be able to 3-2-1, you can definitely catch some people by surprise. It looks like for now, just kind of back on up and figure out what they want to do. This is a squad that I think I'm really curious in. Let's go ahead. Let's do just a little bit of a light listen in here, Enigma, to see how are they trying to navigate this very early game here in map number 5.
We can loot up around us.
Friendly fire station deployed.
Take a shot at that.
And it hit me through there.
It hit all three of us.
Deployable buy station is available.
Who shot that? Was it Donut or a different team?
They're getting flown on that Donut.
I'm pre-minute, I'm pre-minute.
Come out with your hands up and no one has to.
Might be enkeo in them.
Are Bugs just sitting inside?
I think they're inside. Yeah. You want to pre-aim? Oh, never mind, never mind. They're trying to cross out. Cracked him, but... Res behind you over there.
I don't know who shot our portable out. It definitely was not that team. I think it's this team over here.
Team that just finished that. Trying to see if anyone got revived from it. Guy's hella fine. I'm getting aim assist height right here. Two of them. Shooting that guy left.
He's about
two more on the height. Two more on height. Wait, that might be a different team then. That was two teams. Right here. Cracked him.
20.
And it's just another one that is frustrating. Actually comes on through. You managed to get the knock onto Castillo at least, so you can follow it up with the PA potentially. Does that get the knock? Bunker buster as well. Castillo's knocked again, and there you go. That's that double up that you were talking about earlier, where essentially you're just able to get a bunker over the PA for free. Wonderful stuff. You can see in the comms like they were trying to set themselves up for a solid mid game. They wanted to prepare for the fire sale by essentially putting that portable onto the roof. However, it does get shot out, so they won't have it available. Be interesting to see if they check on back to it. But as the fire sale ticks on through, you got to assume that they won't be able to take advantage of it as they liked. And right now, a lot of company to boot.
And I kind of like this, just the human turret mode activated if you're Aydan right now. STG hitting. You see some of the live pings come on through. He flies on forward. Volcom gets taken on out. As they start to get a little bit more aggressive, I do like what this team is doing right now. I like some of the comms. I liked how they were kind of feeling out how they wanted to move through this city. And the second that they're able to see a team, they absolutely light them on up. But you're seeing a PA come in over the top, Enigma. This could turn into a sticky situation. Aydan is knocked. Do you get the self?
You get a bit of damage from elsewhere, but get away. Just trying to use the door, but it's not going to be enough. Is that a miracle that pushed up? It is. The Mexicans have decided to fly on through. The squad in from LATAM have decided to try and turn things up here. We move on over. Biffle, Shifty, Soka, considering all the action that was going on moments ago, this feels like a leisurely stroll for them right now, just setting themselves up for that late game. Look at all the UAVs. Look at them trying to set themselves up. Deployable buy as well. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know exactly how the Falcons play match point, it is to stack up the utility.
And just, they still have 24 grand. I want to, hey, my boy Cody or Cowboys, I need a super cut of teams in the mix, in the action, and then we just cut to Team Biffle doing absolutely nothing on the roof.
I got whiplash.
Just absolutely in cash. Streaks laid on the ground, because that was so funny. We're watching teams fight for their life on other sides of the map, and well, the one team that needs to clutch up this game, win the tournament, well, they're just having a grand old time, Enigma. They're just chilling, hanging out. They don't got to do anything.
The thing is, they have all that utility as well, and they still have 25 grand between them. Biffle could do with sharing a little bit of that out because he has the lion's share. And now we switch back over into another team that is absolutely battling its heart out. It's going to be Gabe, who wants to push up, wants to clean up the most, wants a lot of hip fire. He gets a lot of flesh, and Sage finished on off. Okay, Gabe. I mean, sure, you have the advanced over the top, so maybe you're feeling confident, but I don't know, feeling a little bit personal whenever you get one of those finishers come on out.
I don't know, maybe just feeling yourself, a little confidence booster. You just took down Sage, you know you're fine. Just get a little, and then maybe he knows he's on main stage. He's not the rookie of the year potentially for nothing, okay? Listen, it's that type of stuff. I'm on the train, okay?
Oh, yeah, for sure. By the way, Gabe pushing up. Gabe gets aggressive, lands a lot of shots. I think both players try to check on each other, and Gabe finds Castillo. So we saw Castillo, Amir, and Dark earlier pushing up an Aydan and Co. They seem to come out on top in that fight, but they've been whittled down throughout this last passage because that there was a wipe. I mean, it might not be a full wipe. It might just potentially to the gulag. However, Gabe won't care. Gabe will happily scoop up a couple more points. On your screen then, Unrational, Dongies come in. Someone has decided to try and land on top of them. Awful idea. Regardless, Unrational manages to turn, finds E700. Careless Kitty goes down as well. So that's going to be Fonzie then, and Doggy will clean that up. As easy as you like, 3 points on the board.
Yeah, those are kind of the fights you love to be able to have. A team decides to fly on top of you, and you just absolutely pick them apart. Not even a sweat broken out for either of them. Great work from Unrational there to be able to find one. But then look at this. They're starting to make their way over to cargo. You see two people hit the zip. You sight up for the third. Can you be able to find them? And it looks like maybe that was just the duo. So got to make your way across, though. How many times, Enigma, have we seen teams get stuck in this exact rotation? You got to decide where you want to play this. I think if I'm Unrational, then you hip this zip, maybe go a little bit wide right, kind of play it in from the street side.
I actually like that. I think that this is a difficult rotation to make regardless. Again, with that STG now being the AR, it's not as dangerous as it once was, but still, you pop your parachute at this point. You are well within anti-air range, and, well, what the hell was that? Just as never mind. I was about to say it's free. Like, I swear every time I go to... Wait, did Dongi actually get shot by something? What happened there? Coming. We'll go out for the res. Unrational tries to cover with smokes. They will get away with it. They will get inside.
All right. I was trying to think smart, big brain, 300 IQ, right?
I'm with you.
There's got to be teams waiting for this. And no, they just literally go straight across off the zip. And now they found themselves in a position here, Unrational, and now they're starting to beam some people on the rotation. I like this. You have Unrational from the top. Dongi's playing it down low, trying to be able to find them. Well, a little bit of an arm on Unrational as well. He hits the thermite. Did he actually stick someone, or did they just run through it? We'll have to wait and see, but... really good positioning right now. Dongi finds Prodigy. You know that this is E-Baits.
I dropped 3
And one more as well.
Yeah, oekiy will be the third. And the thing is with this team, I'm almost not surprised that they were essentially out of zone until so late, because that's the way they play, right? They just like to try and systematically work through the map from any angle. They feel confident taking on any fight. Summed up by literally their last game where they picked up 19 kills but still fell in 19th. So that's just how they play competitive Warzone. This trio is high risk, high reward. Sometimes you have moments like this where you're shot in the back, trying to be a little bit too cute with your movement there, Gary. Gets the res through though. Plates go in. At this point, honestly, a squad like this, getting into center zone this late, you feel pretty good. Usually, it's the Germans who are trying to push up on this. Usually land around shopping center and push out towards this area. They'll be sent packing here by a team that are on that money conversation. Currently sat in 6th, sure, but we know how small the gap is, and every point could matter if SSD end this.
I mean, they're already on 13 here, Enigma, and we still have 20 squads left in the lobby. Being able to have 13 already is feeling really good. I mean, even if they find, I don't know, if they can get up to 20 with a 1.8, that could be enough to put them up into the conversation there in that maybe second or third, getting some of that cash. We'll have to wait and see. FIFA Juki's and Lennon, though, on the other side, they're on an ATV, and while they're getting ripped apart here, FIFA and Juki's absolutely deleted by Team Destroy. Lennon is the only one up. He only has the buy, or the cash for one buy if he's able to do it, but this is a sticky situation. You're trying to be able to make the rotation. You're trying to feel good, and it's just not enough. Thankfully, he's able to kind of skirt out, grab the cash from his fallen teammate. That'll give him what he needs if he can find a buy station to get both back on in.
This is what I was about to come to, that the buy station rotations here are going to be horrible. You've either got to play out through the football field, which is, I mean, an area that everyone can look out over at any time, especially when one of these smokes go off. That tells everyone exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to rotate through open ground to hit a buy. Manages to get the double, but yeah, there's obviously someone waiting on the other side of things. It's actually going to be hollow, and it looked like he had company as well. So full team waiting there on the edge zone. They saw the gases. They pushed on up knowing that the buy was coming on through. FIFA and Juki's will get back into things, sure, but you're low on utility. You're having to play a regain game, and that is difficult in the lobby of this quality.
Very, very tough. I like the positioning right now from Team Destroy. They're kind of right center zone. They only really have to worry about a couple of these buildings that have height over them, right? But other than that, you kind of have a very solid kind of look at the rest of the lobby. They shoot down a portable, so they kind of get an idea that somebody's over there on that ping and Destroy. Just trying to keep his eyes towards these outer areas for anybody maybe trying to make a late rotate on in.
Not getting the knocks. Honestly, I don't... If you're destroying Co currently sat in 27th, you really do want to pick up a couple of points. These smokes going out. Trying to get a live ping through, but nothing coming. And I like those comms. This team are going to have to cross, so can we just line up on this? The one thing I will say, on these rooftops at Quadri... Oh, enkeo. Bye-bye. See you later. Does not manage to land. Pancakes. Dead. What I will say about these rooftops, though, because there's so many entryways via the ladders, the outside, etc., it is a difficult place to try and keep safe. And we check back in with our SSD squad. Shifty goes down. However, he's going to be picked up by Soka. And Soka is screaming. So that says that they've got a lot of work to do. But look what they have here. It's not only all the utility, they have, of course, an LTV.
Yeah, and you kind of hear immediately Shifty kind of calling out, what do we want to do here? Where are we trying to go? I love that. There's a guy to the right, and this is kind of what's dangerous about this team. Exactly what they're about to do right here. They see this player to the right. They know that somebody's down here. They're not afraid to start going on over and starting to take this fight. They know that they are on Call of Duty Warzone match point, where these are the fights you have to be able to try and win if you want to try and come out on top and gain this space. You have slow side of zone. Shifty fully eliminated by Tappa, but thankfully, there's a mobile buy right here. You get the buyback if you are Biffle. You are still full of cash, as he is just finding players left and right. Can you bring them down on the side of zone? Shifty back on into the mix. Right now, SSD trying to clutch this one on up. You're on slow side of zone, but not a lot of cover to your name.
I have seen SSD clutch up in this very zone on match point in the past. You can see players being bought ahead. Soka calls out that a lot of util is being used at this point. They're running relatively low on cash for an SSDT, and there's players actually out in the gas. Maybe should have paid attention to the PDS. Soka gets pushed up on by Sway. Shifty will manage to trade that on out, but you're down to a two-man. You are eligible to win this. Deployable buy will land right next to you. Shifty goes down as well, but that's a huge moment there to cover on over by Biffle. And the res does come through. They survive yet another scare. And the thing is, as you clear out this side, you actually have a part of the map that you can put your back against. That gas will act as a natural barrier. It will give you an opportunity to have a foundation. And they also buy Soka back in.
Yeah, I mean, they just have this nice little clutch right here. You have the mortar, and that's what I love seeing. The mortar comes on in, but look who's flying on forward. It's Destroy and Raul, and well, they've tried to make this play, not realizing who's over here. Biffle will get taken on out, but I don't think they stay alive. Arrays, Exact, and Sitrap kind of playing on the opposite side of this, trying to catch some teams on the rotation on in. Oh, Donkey, though, it flies on forward. Unrational Donkey and Scummin, they were having a huge game. We just said, hey, if they can manage to make it to this 1.8 times multiplier, it can be a huge game for them to leapfrog up into the money. Well, it might even be better, Enigma, if they can go ahead and win.
Big question here. Destroy, Raul, and Natedogg have stayed up, so did we lose SSD in the process? Are they out of here? We're into our top 5. We saw Biffle get down. I won't believe it until I see it. Sitrep getting cleaned up. Destroy picks him up on the cross. Look at that zone pull. It will favor Destroy, Raul, and Natedogg. However, they don't have much cover to hide behind, so as teams fly at them, they're relatively exposed. I like the idea of picking up a couple of smokes. That one might land a little bit close to you, because as teams push through it, you might not have much opportunity to gun them down, but not a problem, as Unrational is found. Our final 2, a 3v1, done and dusted. We spoke about how Destroy, Raul, Natedogg, they've been relatively quiet, only 27th so far, and needed to have a big game to step on up. That, not likely to put them into the money, but lifts them into the conversation if we go several more maps.
Shadow 1 is inbound for extraction. Visual on your mark.
I was waiting for it. I was like, he won. I know he's about to do it. Like, give it to me, baby. And he did. Right. Fantastic game for Team Destroy. Yeah, I mean, you kind of saw them swing out there at the end. And I think if you are SSD, it just became a tough situation, right? They had that little pocket of land, but it's just so much of the zone wanted to push towards them. And I think they were looking right. They were looking left. They never really got a chance to reset off of that fight from Sway and Tappa, right? I think that's kind of was the crux there. They were never able to reset. You got Destroy, who comes on out. There are a couple of trades there. They bring them on down. It just became a little bit tough. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how it goes down. But the thing to me there, Enigma, is that Team Unrational, they were in second. So that means they secure at least the 1.8 times multiplier. Last time we had checked in with them, they were on 13. I got to imagine that was even more. So we are going one more game, but I got to imagine our leaderboards are probably shaking on up here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we would put solid money on Team Unrational going to the top of things. However, we will talk about our winners here for a moment. Destroy, Raul picking up 5 apiece. Natedogg with 3, giving them 26 points. And of course, that 57.2 overall score. Again, I don't think that lifts them into the money. However, I think it puts them at the bottom of that close leaderboard conversation, where if they have another big one, maybe another big 2, depending on how far we go, then we can start talking about whether or not Destroy is actually given his money that he wants. However, coming back to what we were talking about, yes, I think Unrational and Co will likely slip into second. We didn't see much of Thief, Jukies, and Lennon, who were sat in third, if I remember right, going into that one. Yep. So I think that they might slip out of that money positioning. It's very close up there. But of course, for Team Biffle and Co, they just need to see it on out. I think, honestly, they face a little bit of a taste of their own medicine, right? Like, they're the squad that use a lot of the PDSs. They're the ones who have, like, kind of revolutionized the gas plays. And I think a lot of squads are learning, because a lot of sides, they eventually get picked apart, if you're SSD, from teams using PDSs to just buy time on the outskirts of the zone, not just destroying Co. I think Hallow and Co, Sway and Co were also all out there as well. So yeah, caught between a rock and a hard place, trying to rotate through open ground. And when those teams are out in the gas and you're just not expecting it, you're going to get picked apart. So we fully expect them to come back at this, go again, likely, you know, still have, I'm going to assume, maybe 2 at least maps to see it all out. And, well, with the kind of hit ratio they have, they're still our favorites for sure.
Yeah, I feel like they're probably going to look at that game and probably just realize that sometimes the zones you get are just not great, right? And they tried to make that read on the slow side of zone. They were never able to reset off that fight. And you kind of can just chalk that one up as like, I don't know what that zone was. We kind of just got screwed off of it. Like, it's really hard to play that. There's some zones we get are a little bit RNG, how you're trying to play them. And I think maybe they just played over a little bit too fast, right? I think they tried to get into zone. They knew the spot they wanted to hold in, because let's be honest, if they hold that area of the map, they probably win that game. It's just they have to fight a little bit too hard for it too early. If they kind of stay back a little bit more, they might be able to take out Destroy and then kind of be able to kind of play the same rotation that Destroy did to catch the rest of those players coming on in. So A little bit of just unfortunate timing, maybe situation for them. We did see them. They were setting up very early on. So we got a little bit of an idea of how they want to play some of these lobbies, right? We saw them go to the bunker. They stacked up the cash. They were able to get foresight. They knew exactly where the zone was going. They're feeling good. I'll be curious to see in this next map, where is that zone going to pull? Can they do something similar? But for some of our other teams, your life is still alive on the line. We're going at least one more game, all right? So you have one more opportunity to try and get those points to get up on the leaderboard. So reminder, folks, first place, taking home $7,000. Second is $2,000. Third is $1,000. So even if, Team Falcons, SSD, Team Biffle, whatever you're choosing to call them on this day, shape, and time, well, if they're able to win this next game, guess what? We still have squads who can go home with some cash. So we're just waiting for our leaderboards to get updated so we can talk a little bit more about that. But Enigma, we have a little bit of a moment to breathe here. Let's everybody collectively give a nice little breathe in and out. I want to remind everybody, come on over, follow us at WZ Total Frenzy over there on Twitter/X and also on TikTok. You can see fantastic clips from today, past events, and also stay up to date of all the events that we have moving forward and all of our competitors who are playing in them as well. We would appreciate that follow and have you come checking all it out. You'll see both of our dumb faces on there quite a lot and hear our voices getting loud over some of our competitors here as well. Enigma, let's lock it back in. If you're one of these teams who's trying to be able to come out on top here, what's the sauce here for game number 6? You have one more game that you're allowed to play. I don't know. Some of these teams, they kind of really need to turn on the afterburners here.
Yeah, I want to go back to focusing on end zone in particular. I think that this is something that a lot of squads do when they get to match point. Sure, I feel like there's still sometimes a lot of squads that don't focus enough on what that end zone is going to look like when we start talking about trying to build up points. I think it's one of the reasons why Team Falcons, Biffle, SSD, or whatever, are so far ahead of the curve, because they're always well ahead of that conversation. For example, there we end up with a very open zone. Little squads bringing things like deployable covers, or, yes, you have a couple of squads playing around the PDSs, but not enough when you start to think about, okay, well, what's our positioning around this and so on. So, yeah, I think that, again, if you're, for example, Team FIFA Kill, we're going to assume that because we didn't see much of them in that map, they've likely slipped out of the prize money. They need a big game here to ensure they go back into that. Got to start to, yes, you have your drop, you have your execution on what you want to do over at Superstore. But I like, for example, the way Team enkeo often play things out. Probably not a good day to be talking about them because they're having an off one, but they have multiple landing zones. They have, one down by manor, but they also have an alternate option up by blocks, and it lets them be flexible depending on where that zone looks like it's going to pull, avoid horrible long distance rotations. For example, we know that, again, Juki's FIFA Kill Lennon, they were quiet in that game. They've got to get from Superstore all the way over the other side of Quadri Shopping Center. That's a difficult rotation to make. If they had a second drop, like, I know that they've played a lot of high rise, for example, on this map. If they go there instead, maybe it's a more successful rotation for them into the end.
No, it's definitely a good shout out. I feel like we saw a couple of times where teams were making their way over to Superstore. I mean, we saw Juki's make a great play, right? Kind of answering back on. We saw Lennon get ripped. Juki's able to kind of answer on back. But interesting play for them for that ATV sort of towards the end game there when we kind of saw Lennon just get absolutely just pushed and taken on out. They try to make this rotation over with an ATV, and I just it's almost like one of those opportunities where it's like, I like the idea, but it almost felt like it would have been better had you just gone on foot, slammed the smokes your entire way over, kind of tunnel your way through, and then at least get to an area where you can maybe hold it together as a team versus, all right, we got 3 people on an ATV. It's not exactly the most enclosed vehicle you have. Pretty easy to start getting shots in on it, and that's exactly what Team Destroy did. Kind of lights them on up, at least Lennon in a tough situation. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit curious. Can that team kind of lock it on in? We have a couple other squads, though, that are also doing a great job of kind of coming online here and being consistent. I want to keep talking about them, right? Team Unrational, you mentioned them at the top, doing a great job. We checked in with them early. They were on 13. Even if they are still on 13, you make it in the 1.8. Not a bad game to be able to have there, but I got to imagine it was still a little bit more towards the end of the day. I mean, man, let's go ahead. I'm being told leaderboards are ready, so we don't have to talk about it anymore. Let's look at the overall kill leaderboard to kick us on off here, Enigma, because we might see some new faces on that leaderboard. So hopefully we got some people to talk about. Let's go ahead. Let's see it. And, well, we got somebody new, at least in second.
Did Shifty not pick up a single kill last game? I swear he was on 39 before. I am gonna ask for a recount potentially, but
we were being told Biffle's stats aren't updated yet, so that's okay.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, Juki's jumps up into second with 31 kills, although if Biffle and Co haven't been updated just yet, then that might well be third. But continuing to lead the line there, the European climbing on up. Bobble, by the way, I feel like we've not spoken much about him, but he's been in this top 10 consistently through this tournament. His team haven't really been part of the conversation yet, but he individually having one hell of a tournament.
Yeah, feeling good. Bubble's always kind of one of those shooters who's on any team, he'll be the one finding eliminations. Unfortunately, the teammates, I don't really see them up there here either. So great day for Bubble, not a great day for the teammates, it looks like. But we can see that youngsters also making their way up there. We saw Omi and A. They were currently sitting in second going into that game, but we didn't really see much out of them that was there, right? So maybe potentially a little bit drop on the leaderboard, but across the map, we got Dongi and Scummin who are up here as well. Could be a little bit of key marker of their success. Well, let's look at our overall leaderboard because that's what I care about here. All right, is who has made their way up? Well, yeah, look who it is. Team Unrational now in second with 111.6. So finally making their way up. Team FIFA, you called them out. They're not too far away either in 90.2.
Yeah, I think Team FIFA just about stay in the prize money because a lot of the other squads around there, right? Skullface, Swag, Aydan, we didn't see much of them, so there wasn't much success in a lot of our top teams. And honestly, all that does is pile the mid-pack all back together in a neat little bow. However, what I will say, Team Biffle likely to only have one more free bite at it because Team Unrational surely go on to match point after this, barring any sort of catastrophe being, I mean... no, sorry, I'm misdoing my math here. I'm thinking for a second we're on 120 match point because that's what I was doing the other day. It is 150, still got a long way to go. So maybe one more. Team Unrational definitely capable of doing the 38 points that they'd have to make up, 38.4. However, likely potentially 2 games still then for Team Biffle.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Team Unrational, they can put up eliminations, but it's going to have to be one of these games where they get 20 eliminations and then they get to the 1.8, right? Like, that has to be kind of the idea if they want to try and make it there. So it's possible. I mean, very clear. It's very possible for that squad to make it on a Call of Duty Warzone match point. Realistically, we're probably looking at 2 games for them, maybe 3 games for some of the other teams to finally kind of get up there. But I'm seeing we have a lot of people kind of hovering around that 80 area as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But match number 6, Enigma, ready to kick started. We still only have one team on Call of Duty Warzone match point, of course, being Team Biffle, Soka, and Shifty, but Team Unrational looking right on the heels are ready to maybe join them.
Oh, I see that. No, I think they're in the balloon. They're in the balloon, Nate.
The thing is, your Team Destroy here. You and me we've both met Destroy, right?
Yep.
The energy that guy brings, I can't imagine what he's like as a teammate once you've come off of a win. That guy must go absolutely crazy. Extremely high energy. We'll be lifting his boys all the way through this. Already an early PDS found. Plenty of loot available here in Lowtown. The one thing that always terrifies me about Lowtown... By the way, take a quick look at your minimap there. The amount of crowns on the screen, the most wanted contracts go absolutely nuts. But, yes, one of the difficulties about Lowtown, there could be literally anyone lurking around any corner. So you want to loot this up quickly and get back together as a 3.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? You see this area on the map. I mean, Brett actually made a very good tweet thread the other day about, like, different areas of the map. And hold on, I'm going to wait here. You got oekiy apparently putting Jukies in disbelief. Wait, hold up. Let's look at this. This is actually super clutch. They're in the gulag. We'll have to wait and see how they come out on top. Most wanted contract does get completed for Team Destroy. Okay, now we're back in. All right.
He lines up Hollow, gets the crack, but then takes plenty of damage himself, so that resets the chessboard. Jukies needs to pop the reload. Zip will come on out. Oh, what? I'm with Jukies. How does Hollow win that? Honestly, I think that maybe he just hip fires a couple of headshots and that multiplier goes nuts, but yeah, I'm with Jukies there. I'm surprised by that one. Hollow won't care. He'll take it. We've all had those gunfights go either way for us. Yeah, I thought Jukies had that dead to rights.
Yeah, I think it was eating that nade was part of the rough spot. Back to my point I was making. Brett made a really good tweet the other day about different POIs on the map and how this map is missing that one real true hot drop, right? Think back in El Mazar, we had Observatory. On Caldera, we had Peak. We missed that hot drop, and it's it feels like people thought it was going to be Lowtown, Old Town because it's there in the middle, but it really isn't. Right?
Yes.
So you think a lot of people maybe want to land there, but not a lot of people do. there's a ton of loot and stuff. So, you know, I'm not surprised to see them kind of land, get that most wanted, and really just try and get that done very, very quickly. Because I think it's a great spot on the map that will really allow you to rotate out to potentially find some more teams in different areas of the map.
I like that you bring the conversation up because obviously, you know, Kyrgyzstan is different in the sense that we don't have that high central point, right? Like we go back to kind of like Verdansk in that sense where it's a bit flatter. There's not, you know, there's not that elevation because one of the big things about, for example, an observatory, right? Like not only was it a hot drop because of the potential for loot and stuff like that, but because of the height, you could parachute off to anywhere on the map. It was a nice, easy rotate relatively from there. You don't, potentially have that in Kyrgyzstan. Our high point is down in city, which is very much so off towards that south western side. So unless you get a zone pull there, you don't really want that. So I'm with you. It's an interesting conversation that Bread brings up. And well, as the map continues to evolve, as we get things like Superstore back in, I am very curious to see how it changes over the rest of this year.
Good shots coming out from Sage, though, on deep. They know that there's a bunker nearby. Somebody's got to do it. Adrian and Swag pushing on up. Looks like they're able to find one. Swag, though, will get taken on out. This looks like it's Oakboy, Picnic, and Rydo. Rydo will get fooled. Sage trying to fly on over, maybe help Adrian. Ooh, good shots. You get the armor crack. Adrian, can you play from around? Can you be able to find it? You can. Picnic taken on out. That is a squad wipe. Nice clean fight from Swag, Adrian, and Sage. Unfortunately, that Swag did have to go down, but either way, you're still able to take it on out, come out on top, feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, Swag's waiting in the gulag for the longest time and actually loses his to Ryder. So squad at the minute with a lack of cash available to them, but we'll need to bring Swag back on in. But what I will say is, with that fight that just went on down, yes, you lose Swag for all that, but you'll be happy to pick that on up. They're currently sat in 5th of this lineup, so just outside of the money, and we know how important every single kill will be. You get yourself a couple on the board there. Also avoid giving too many up. Whether or not you can get Swag back in nice and quickly, that is going to be a yes. However, it's going to leave you low on money, and well, bullets coming back at you. They hurt. Adrian, Sage catch a couple in the teeth.
Live ping's coming on in, lets them know exactly where those shots are coming on in through. You can kind of hear some of the comms coming on through. Maybe kind of just split this up a little bit. Sage laying on the roof, just trying to look through here. Doesn't see anything. Just to back on up, rejoin the squad.
I'm getting under. I'm getting under.
Sage, you hear the comms come on through. He wants to play under. Sage wants a part of the dominant side in Warzone, of course, alongside Biffle and Shifty last year on Al Mazrah. Obviously, ends up being the player that moves on and is joined up now with Adrian and Swag. And since these three come together, they have been quite a formidable force, consistently in the money conversation, consistently doing well in terms of tournament placing. Sage's big brain about how to play around these situations is a huge part of that. Just trying to isolate off this lower part of the castle. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if you try and force this situation. Maybe hold, sure, but you got to consider the amount of teams that are probably going to be rotating on over from City. You got to keep an eye on your back, too.
It's also a lot of time spent right here, right? Like, it's spending a lot of time just trying to fight this one team. This is one of those moments that I think teams need to think about, right? You're spending so many like just resources and time trying to maybe fight this team, and it's like, for what? Like, you don't have to push down here. Maybe it's to find these early eliminations that you want, but is this really what you need? Amir is going to be able to make the trade, and I'm not even entirely sure if like that fight is worth it. You know the team's there. Just go somewhere else, right? Like it's not even worth it to try and gatekeep from that angle, I feel like.
No, I'm with you entirely. I think that, you know, you got to consider the investment, not just of time, but of resources. And also, we saw Swag go down yet again. We know he's already used his gulag. Wars, Natedogg in their own gulags. Wars needs to win this. His team are in trouble at the minute. Bubble has his Gulu. He's out of here. Wars catches a grenade. Wars does the right thing. Gets the crack himself and backs on off to let himself reheal. Try and put it down to a level playing field. Smoke goes out. Wars trying to eye up the zip. Oh, he gets it! Ooh. Just in time. Natedogg was a heartbeat away from hitting the escape point there. But Wars holds firm, holds true. Oh, that got my heartbeat going. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, those are the type of gulags that you love to see, especially if you are wars. It's like he kind of honestly felt like he should have lost that. Like the second that nade drops in on top of his head, cracks him, you're like, man, that is not feeling pretty good. But you know, just a little bit of patience just goes to show when you are a veteran player like Wars, you make veteran plays, and that's definitely one of them. He's able to back on up, let the health regen, understanding that, hey, I either got to take this gunfight or this kid's going to try and maybe tweak a little bit, maybe try and take that zip, and well, he does. Wars, cool, calm, and collected, rips him right at the top. So some good stuff there. But back on over, other side of the map, over towards this firehouse area, we've seen Fnatic play here all day long, currently sitting in 4th place. A huge game could jettison them up to 2nd if they can do it. Skullface already on 3. Saw them go down a little bit earlier in that last game. Looks like now they're not making the same mistake.
Yeah, I'm stacking up on the utility here. What I will say, relatively open ground that you've got to cross next. A zone is going to pull you uphill. You will have to essentially play through rolling plains unless you decide to take the balloon. It still brings with it some risk, of course, because you've still got to get across the river. There's also could be players sat up on the bathhouses here, but Almond has gone ahead. Essentially, a scout will be coming exactly where you need to land, and Almond also spots a couple of players ahead. Noobs pings like crazy too. They have the information. Can you execute on this crossing? If you can get away with this cleanly, this is a huge moment for them in pushing, as you said, into that prize money with them currently being sat in 4th.
Yeah, the fact that they were able to do this so clean is huge. I kind of like that call. It felt like they wanted to fly at the fight. They want to get on in there, but then I think Almond kind of makes that energy where he says, hey, we need to just go somewhere else. We need to get out of here. They fly on top of this building, though. They'll find Obs. Means you got Teeny and Tommy around here somewhere. The double T's. They need to maybe fight on back, but starting to try and fly on through. Was that a solo, or is that the whole team?
Back here, maybe. Like,
they suspect a rat somewhere to Fnatic. Trying to check every single corner. Yeah, I agree. Could just have used it as cover. However, you never know when someone just tucks in, a portable comes out, and you shoot it down before it crosses over. The answer is going to be no. Maybe trying to just not make noise for now. You're Fnatic. Live ping comes on through. You can hear the comms. And honestly, the comms are going to be beautiful for Skullface as he pushes this. He squeezes. Tommy is found. There's still not a squad wipe, so that team are just holding on by the thread right now. That is, I mean, you've got that portable buy being brought back in, sure, but you definitely are in trouble here. This squad, surely that is going to be Teeny. Still not fully wiped yet. So Orbs must have managed to get back in somewhere. God bless him.
I mean, you're just seeing the live pings coming on in there. You know, the pure dominance of why they are able to come on in. I know that's been a hot, kind of button of contention for a lot of competitive players lately, but as for right now, they're in, and you're seeing moments like that are why they're super good. Skullface playing a little bit aggressive now up currently sitting on 5, feeling good. And well, look who's still alive here, Enigma. We got 26 teams left as we get towards the end of zone number 3, but our only team that's on Call of Duty Warzone match point, they are still alive and kicking. Looks like they've already found themselves a couple of engagements. Shifty's on 3.
It's interesting as well that they've decided to take the far north here, although I was speaking about this in yesterday's event, that the circles that we're starting to see up here, although of course there is an element of RNG to circle pulls, you start to recognize patterns, and more throughout the recent weeks of Warzone, these extreme northern circles that push right up against the boundary are appearing.
Yep.
So honestly, I'm a big fan of them taking this building, and also I spotted for a moment there, Shifty has like 3 deployable covers in his backpack just in case that zone pulls out into the woods.
I think that's really smart. And look at this. You jump up on top. You need a little bit of impatience. You find one. That's Aydan, actually. So, maybe DJ and Z-Smith got to be around here somewhere. And even when we kind of came on over, even Soko was saying, he's like, this place is actually horrible to play from. And I agree from. It is too big of a building to try and just say, oh, yeah, we're holding this building, right? It is too big to hold as they're caught on over. And unfortunately, your winners of map 5 destroy. They go down in 25th.
They're out of here. Really like what SSD are doing there. Fully agree with everything you just said. Stable J, Strixie, Johnny Bro on your screens. We talked about the storyline with these guys coming into things right at the top of the show, but it's been a tough afternoon. 35th. Sharing your screen right now. I mean, you could hear them chatting a moment ago. They have quite a bit of utility. They haven't been seeing too many of the end games, so maybe this is the play. Put yourself in a spot where you can start just finding a corner, tucking yourself down, and get yourself into end games.
They can't throw anything in here.
Be advised.
Yeah, done.
Alright.
Loadout drop headed your way.
Do you think we go right, by the way?
Wars back on in.
Wait. Do you want to take the heli and go
We saw a
there?
bubble.
I don't think we can, bro. I feel like we will get laced.
Was on that kill leaderboard. The slayer for the squad. Louis and War is trying to maybe make something happen. Currently sitting in 11th, so just on the outside looking in. Still not, you know, too far away with 72.6. They'd love to cross over that halfway point, that is for sure, but one big game is all it takes. We saw Wars win that gulag early on to help them come back on in, but you've kind of made this rotation on in, but Enigma, this is still looking a little dicey.
Yeah, it is, especially when we know as well that SSD are just going to be holding up on a rooftop, and that's actually going to be, I could figure it out, Fnatic, and they have decided to push up on this, and that's one of the problems when you're up against the gas. You just you're asking to be patrolled, you're asking to be hunted out by these gatekeeper teams like a Fnatic that are just going to punish you for making that late rotation. Skullface currently on 7, his team on 5th. Oh, it actually gets burned from behind. A team coming in late. Bubble still here. One of our top kill leaders at the moment, trying to rock into things with Louis CM. I don't know if Louis and Bubble survive that after they're trying to push to a bottleneck there against still 2 members of Fnatic, but giving themselves a best opportunity by taking out Skullface. On over towards Zach, Ace, and Hollow. They started the afternoon off hot. 1 map 1, but it's been relatively middling since then. Currently sat in 12.
I don't know if you saw that zone when he pulled up the map, but this is pulling off of that building that SSD was on and a little bit to the left. So those deployable covers that we saw Shifty have stacked up in the backpack will be absolutely massive to come in for right now. And here you're seeing that RDB come on through. This would be fantastic. Could be the opportunity they need to fly. This is why I love that these things were added to the game, right? You only need to kind of hold 1 or 2, and they just open up the possibility of you being able to get on into the game. So we see Zach hits 1, flies on through, will land. Well, guess what? This is the only double-edged sword part of it, Enigma. You fly on through the sky, you try and hold into a position. Somebody's going to be able to watch you make this movement and absolutely laser beam you down. And, well, it's the other French squad in the lobby. It's enkeo.
Yeah, it gets a little smile out of me. The fact that enkeo and co are holding that. Doka, Biffle, Shifty, they're assessing how to move into this next zone because, as you said, we're pulling away from the building that they had taken control of. They stacked up on loot, gave themselves all the utility in the world, and decided to play the very edge of the map, hoping that they can make the rotation without being spotted. We know that enkeo and co just over that ridge, but, I mean, it's so unlikely that you decide to check this. However, Shifty feels like he's got to check behind him just in case. And honestly, I'm getting deja vu back to one of our very first ever match point games in Warzone. It was on Al Mazrah, and playing the border edge and just essentially lying down, letting everyone else fight was exactly how they came out on top when it was Biffle, Shifty, and Sage. So those deployable covers in hand as well, that might be a repeat that they're looking to make happen right here.
Yeah, I like this, the way they're positioning that. This is kind of coming back to what I said right before, right? You let the rest of the lobby come to you, and they are definitely setting themselves up to do that. But Fnatic on the other side, they are still playing aggressive. Skullface on 7. They find Colony 2K. Means you're looking for Nick Cool and Watch Waldo. Where are they? We saw one player up on the roof. Are they still down here, though? A flurry of eliminations coming on through as, well, Almond and Skullface looking to try and bang out this bottom. Waldo will get found. That is a squad wipe. Still 13 teams remaining here, though, Enigma. A lot of lobby left to play.
Yeah, and it's going to be a hellish rotation to make because you're up against the gas. Sure, you have 10 seconds till it starts moving, but you're also going across open ground. You're going across hill, and teams know that you are here. So yeah, and that call is the worst thing to hear in the world. And if you're pushing out towards this forest edge, we know that SSD are waiting. There's also going to be a vehicle rolling up on you, and that's Almond getting crushed. He is down. But if both players try and play back for that, are you just going to get run over by this vehicle yourselves? Shifty will try and disable that. I think he actually manages to get a knock. Trying to pick out who that actually is that gets knocked. Shifty and Co won't care. They're just trying to bleed this lobby down.
And I like where they're kind of sitting right here. You have this rock that can protect you on this right side. You have this little bit of a hill. You don't have to do anything crazy. Hold this slow side. Make sure that nobody's going to kind of push through your back. Because look at this. If they're able to let this zone creep on in, nobody's really going to be able to make a gas play wrap on them, right? They're going to go ahead and see that. You have this mobile buy here. So if they have PDSs and such, as the zone starts to move, they know a classic SSD game plan. Push back into the gas. Drop a PDS on a buy station and be able to hold it. Somebody's trying to be able to push on up, though. It doesn't matter, though. Look who it is. It's Fnatic. They were having a game, but you run into the team trying to end the tournament here. Absolutely slammed. Team Biffle poisoning themselves, trying to be able to end this tournament in 6.
And they do indeed. I was wondering exactly where Fnatic had gotten to after that altercation with the LTV, and it turns out not very far. They don't wrap around the far back. They instead just try and run through the front. They aren't expecting these boys to be holding the very boundary edge, but this is what they do best. Position themselves so that as the zone shifts, they have themselves so many options. Johnny Bro, Strixie, StableJ looking to play spoiler from the opposite side. Currently stood in a PDS, all the teams are going to know where they are. They do have a vehicle potentially available to them. However, we know how much noise that makes. Soka, Shifty, Biffle have got to consider the next rotation, though, because the gas is squeezing on up. They want the height. They want to play up top here. If they get up here and they have any deployable covers, then that could be extremely useful. You can't push that far up, though, because the combat area is limited. Biffle goes down elsewhere. StableJ is found. Will Biffle be resurrected? It is a no. Shifty and Soka as a 2, now holding off against a 3 to try and seal the deal.
2v3, it's still definitely very possible. From behind, the turn and burn from Soka. Okay, you find Steve-O, you find Patsuka. You're trying to clean it on up. They want to end it here. You find Nexian. Oh my God, Shifty and Soka with a 25 elimination game. You didn't just win the tournament. You dropped 25. Twist the knife a little harder, boys.
I mean, twist the knife, pour salt into the wound, however you want to describe it. You are absolutely correct. 25 kills. So many squads play match point to try and took themselves off in a corner. Hope that no one finds them. They decided, no, you know what? We're just going to tear the entire lobby apart. We speak about them as a potential dynasty. We speak about them as the best squad in the world. And so often you see why. Moments like that. Biffle falls. And I thought, okay, we're seeing another map here for sure. Especially when it turns out it's Patsuka. That's a ridiculous squad to be fighting. So consistent. And it doesn't matter. Soka's turns and burns. Shifty picks up a couple as well. Biffle, Shifty, Soka. Of course, the Falcons, they will be your champions here. Season 5, Week 1 of Warzone Total Frenzy.
You gotta imagine Biffle gets ripped apart. It's the live pings walled down that come in that help Hisoka just turn and immediately know where to look. The communication on point for this squad. They know how to work together. They know exactly what they're trying to do. I love it. You just kind of see Soka push up a little bit, hold that ridge line, and then let Biffle and Shifty kind of play from the back. And that is exactly what it is. It's that little bit of a split that lets them come together and be able to fry. What a fantastic day to end this. And I mean, dude, 25 eliminations. Normally we see people end these games, Enigma, with like 8 or 9, right?
Yeah,
25.
Exactly. Well, this is one of the things that, like, again, it's a totally viable strategy. If you want to just decide, you know what, I don't want to fight anyone. I want to let the rest of the lobby whittle themselves down, and then we'll pop up and say surprise at the end with a fully tooled up gearbox. Fine, do that. No, these guys decide to just run over everything. Biffle picks up 4, and honestly, it feels a bit weird seeing that number next to his name. I'm used to double digits at least, but Soka, 13, just being absolutely undeniable. And you could see that at the end there. As he started to push up that ridge, Biffle falls from behind. He turns and absolutely burns Patsuka. Gets the help from Shifty, who gives him the live ping from the off angle, but still, Soka making things happen, clearing things up at the end in style.
Yeah, you're just really seeing the power of live pings come in there at the end, right? I'm seeing people in chat saying, how did he see him through the smoke? Well, when your teammate's giving you a giant red diamond over the enemy's heads, and you have one of the best shots in the game like Soka, it's pretty easy to hit those through the smoke, especially with a gun like the STG. Let's remind everybody that it only takes a couple bullets from this thing to be able to rip someone up. But a fantastic play there from SSD to be able to clutch up the game, win the tournament. I gotta be honest with you, Enigma. I will give credit where credit is due. I asked you at the top of the show. I said, how many games are we ending this in? We thought it was gonna be 5. It takes one more. You're right. You said 6 at the top of the show, and they're able to end it in 6. I said 8. I thought it was going to be a little bit more competitive today, but it's a little bit tough when we got a team like Team Falcons taking game number 4 with 29 eliminations and ending the tournament on game number 6 with 25.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I can see exactly why you thought it would go a couple more. I was probably expecting some other competition up there, especially, again, I spoke about on the top of the show, Team Unrational. I think I was expecting them to start weighing in the heavy punches. They do push themselves up to a round match point, but it is too little, too late, and we do end up finishing it off in 6. And I think the interesting conversation around the Falcons, around SSD, is a question that we asked them last night. It's kind of like, how do you keep up your motivation? How do you keep intending to just set a new bar, continue to be ahead? Because when you're at the top, like, it's one thing when you're improving and you can learn so many things from everyone else and slowly climb that ladder. But when you're at the very top, you have to create your own ladder ahead of you. It's like when you go mountain climbing, you got to be the guy that puts the rope in and then hooks it. Like, you're those people. How do you just keep doing that? And they said that they want to be known as one of the greatest teams ever. So well and truly pushing forward towards that.
No, they're definitely marching towards that, that's for sure. And I love they kind of talk about that. No complacency for this team. They know that teams are looking to try and beat them. They know that teams, and also I think they realize that there are squads who can beat them, right? They know that they are, fallible, that they can make mistakes, they can slip up. They're fully aware of that, and they're constantly trying to fix those mistakes and make sure that they stay at the top. So I give a lot of respect to them, right? It's one thing we've seen in other esports where you have this dominant super team and, oh, wow, they're so good, they're so far ahead of everyone. But the second they meet some adversity, the second a team really kind of pushes them to the edge, they start to break. That's not the case for Team Falcons or Team Biffle Soka and his Shifty. They don't let that happen. If a team tries to hold with them, it's okay. But then we have events like today, man, where going into that game number 5, they had over double of what was in second place. And when you have dominance like that, I feel like it takes so much pressure off you, right? Like, they knew, they're like, yo, if we don't win this game, who cares, right? Like, we have easily 3 more games and we can try and clutch this up. And until even somebody else has the opportunity of trying to win this tournament, they don't even have to worry about it. And it barely slipped out of their fingers there in game number 5. Game number 6, they're able to clutch on up and make it done. So they are our champions for this week, taking up $7,000. We still got to calculate those leaderboards to figure out who's in second and who is in a third. But as we wait for those leaderboards to come online, Enigma, let's kind of take a step back. Let's take the 30,000-foot view of our 6 games here today. What were some of your favorite moments from the day?
I mean, it's difficult to look beyond anything SSD, but I think we've talked them up enough. I think it's seeing Fnatic look a lot better here on Kazakhstan. I hate that they're not going to the World Series. You got players in that lineup that finished 2nd and 3rd last year at the World Series on LAN. So it's really tough to see them not there, especially with their incredible performance at the Esports World Cup. But I do love seeing them pop off in those moments. So yeah, seeing them bring home that second map, probably a highlight moment for me, just because of the boys on that team. The difficulties they've faced this year, yet they're still here, they're still taking part and still putting up the big digits in tournaments like this.
No, I fully agree. I feel like when we were kind of seeing Fnatic towards the end of those last 2 games was where we really were like, okay, this is the Fnatic that we know and love. This is the group of guys that we love, kind of how we expect them to play, right? They were playing with a little bit more aggression. They were flying around the map. They were not afraid to start taking fights against some of those teams. I would love to see them in future tournaments be able to kind of come out with that aggression, to come out with that speed, really hit the ground running. Because I feel like if they do, you're going to see them at the top of the leaderboard and not kind of trailing from behind like we saw, right? I think for most of the day, we saw them in that 4th or 5th area that they were kind of sitting on. So hopefully, in those future events, they can kind of come out and just really just play the game how we know that they can. They know that they can play at a top tier level. They know that they can be a team to beat the Falcons, right? They know that. And so I think now it's just kind of about realizing that and actualizing it. And I think they definitely possibly can. Good stuff all around, all today. I definitely enjoyed watching a couple of these different teams really kind of come online and really kind of have some great moments that we went ahead and saw. Different people, got a shot at T, Echo and Lovey as well. We saw them be able to take a map and also had some fantastic plays in the map afterwards as well. So kind of one of those teams that's 3 players really just kind of coming together for today, still being able to show out and prove they have what it takes to compete against the best of the best.
Yeah, I love that shout. I really do. That squad coming together and still managing to put things together, I think, as well. There's a whole storyline around T, of course, being the only lady that is making it through to those World Series finals. So Obviously, a player to watch, and the way in which they pulled it off in that last map of last chance qualifiers. So yeah, the whole thing there, definitely hoping that she's riding on a high and finds some good form going into the World Series finals as well. It would be lovely to see her do a couple of things. But yeah, I think it's still a case though where we're talking all this up. We're trying our best to see exactly how everyone improves behind the Falcons. But of course, it is always behind the Falcons as we get to take a look at our leaderboard.
Now let's go ahead. Let's pull it up. Like you mentioned, it's going to be who is behind the Falcons. As we take a look at our overall individual elimination, he led it all day long. And, well, he's still here at the top. You got at the top Shifty with 52. And, well, who's not too far behind him? Soka with 37. Adrian splitting up the trio a little bit with 36. Look who's in fourth. It is Biffle, the third member of SSD. No surprise to see them at the top. I got to give our shout out where shout outs are due. Bubble right up there as well. 35. Yep. Fried out all day long. Doggy with 29. Youngsters fried out for Omit NA. Juki's kind of doing what he does on that team, and that's finding the eliminations. Also, shout out Resolve as well. We love to see Resolve up here towards the top. But let's take a look at our team leaderboard, Enigma. Who is taking home $2,000? Who's taking home $1,000? Well, Team Skullface, Fnatic, they're able to clutch up second. Unrational, clutch up third.
Yeah, you'll be taking home the remaining prize money. Again, a moment that I love to see. I spoke there about how I really enjoyed seeing Fnatic pick up that second map. And not only that, they bring home second place as well. Did feel like they were on a little bit of a heater towards the end there until I think they end up getting picked, just trying to hold off Team Bubble and Louis CM and co. But yeah, they just end up falling short. In the end of the day, coming second. We transfer into our bottom end teams. A couple of sides here that won't be happy to see this. Honestly, a lot of names here that I'm very surprised by. Yeah. I spoke about Team Blade early on, Team Amir down there as well. Usually have them up in the money conversation. Team eBay. So there's a lot of names. Spread, Superevan. I don't know, man. Like, these lobbies are tough, and we're seeing even the best squad struggle.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one thing to note here. It is just Warzone is such a day-by-day game, right? So, you know, I see some of your favorite names down there towards the bottom. Well, hey, guess what? Next week, they could be towards the top, and some of our teams that are here at the top could find themselves at the middle of the pack or the bottom. But hey, congratulations yet again, Team Biffle, for taking home the dub. Team Skullface also taking home $2,000. And, of course, Team Unrational for getting their $1,000 for coming in at third. But that's all we have for you as part of Warzone Total Frenzy Season 5, our first week. What a way to kick off our sort of first competitive event here of Season 5. So, Enigma, what do you I already asked you your best parts of the day, but kind of give me your closing thoughts, and more importantly, where can people find you on the internet if they want to come keep up to date with you?
If you do want to find me for whatever reason, it's the exact same name as you're going to see underneath there, Enigma AMC. I don't shoot very well these days as I'm getting to be a bit of an old man, but I'm always down for a bit of a chat about Warzone. So yeah, if you want to come find me, then that's where to do that. And I guess one of the lines to say here is it's wonderful to be back on Warzone Total Frenzy. I've unfortunately been quite busy throughout this month, so I haven't had the opportunity. And of course, my friend, my brother, it is wonderful to work alongside you. Always a pleasure. It has been too long, and I believe we'll be working together again real soon.
Absolutely. Go follow him. Guy's having a kid soon. He needs all the support that he can get. You definitely go tune into his stream where you can watch him start shooting. Not nearly as good as me, because I'm not the one rigging tournaments that are coming up that we're about to start playing in, but that is A-okay. If you guys want to come follow me, you can find me at DandroCast everywhere as well. Fantastic day at Warzone. I love what we do, and I can't wait to see what more events we have coming on up. So if you'd like to stay up to date with us, go follow us on Twitter/X at WZ Total Frenzy. Keep up to date with what events we have, see clips from today, some very funny moments, everything you want to see, and also on TikTok at WZ Total Frenzy for the same thing. But with that being said, that's all we got for you this week. So I'm Dandro, that's Enigma, and we'll see you next time for Call of Duty Warzone Total Frenzy.
Waiting for a sign.